Hello, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful Frederica Friday. We pick up with our third stream of Sumi Horoboshi Hen of 5. We have quite a bit of interesting content to get to here today. Starting from where we left off in the middle of a chapter last time. Again, sorry about that. One of those, well, actually a couple of those content warnings are going to become kind of prudent or like are going to be relevant in this early scene here, so just giving a heads up for that. There will be a moment where it becomes a little bit more clear. Yeah, pertinent, that's it, yeah. And I'll try to sort of disclaim when we get around to there as well, but yeah. Other than that, though, I don't think that there's anything else we really need to open up with? I know I kind of let you guys off on that cliffhanger, so why don't we stop wasting time and get to it? Oh, Rena-chan. Hello. Mio-san. Hello to you too. I didn't expect to see you here. Really? I was going to say the same thing. I always spend time here, and I've never seen you. She smiled in the very attractive and charming way that only mature women can do. Her smile gave no indication that she knew her death was just a few days away. She said that she often met with Tomitake-san at the library. It seemed like she had some time to kill, so she told me that she wanted to buy me a drink. I had nothing to do after that. I let her buy me a canned iced milk tea from the vending machine in the library, and we talked for a while. Once I came to think about it, it was a little ironic. She mostly talked about the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. She had no idea that she was going to be the victim of its 5th year. The series of mysterious deaths? You've heard about it at least once, haven't you? 4 years ago, the manager of the dam construction site was murdered. 3 years ago, the Hojo couple died. 2 years ago, the Furude couple died. And last year, it was Satoko-chan's aunt. The series of mysterious deaths have been going on for 4 years now. And in a few days, it'll be the 5th. I've heard about it. But you don't know for sure that somebody will die this year. I do. Someone will die in a few days for sure. There's that old saying, everything that happens twice will happen a 3rd time. So isn't it also true that what happens 4 times will happen a 5th? Mio-san was convinced that the 5th mysterious death was going to happen, but she didn't know that she was going to be the 5th victim. That's ironic, and also really creepy. But there was always something creepy about her. So maybe she knew that she was going to be killed in a few days, but still managed to make that mysterious smile. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Of course, I know about it. I've lived here for more than a year. Every year on the day of the Watanagashi festival, one traitor to the village dies mysteriously. It's been that way since the dam conflict. Each case was solved individually, but mysterious incidents still happen every year. It makes me wonder if there's some kind of will to all of this. The creepiness and incomprehensibility of it all gave rise to the name The Curse of Oyashiro-sama, which fit perfectly. Despite this, I always thought the Curse of Oyashiro-sama was just a series of coincidences. My reason for that is because I strongly believe that Satoshi-kun was the one who murdered his aunt on the 4th year. I don't have any evidence, but I just know it. I know that Satoshi-kun was in a serious predicament last year, and that he had nowhere to turn. He had no one to help him, but he had to save Satoko-chan as soon as he could. Satoshi-kun thought it through and made the best choice he could to handle the situation, just like I did when I had my problem with Rina. I hesitated to inform Mio-san that Satoshi-kun was the murderer on the 4th year, so I just listened to her for a while. According to her theory, the series of the mysterious deaths isn't just a set of coincidences, but is instead a series of interrelated murder cases. At that point, my theory was completely the opposite of hers, but I decided not to cut in. You know about the cult of Oyashiro-sama here in Hinamizawa, don't you? Takano-san started telling me that Hinamizawa was once called Onigafuchi. She also explained the story of how the villagers were in the old days, showing me the scrapbook she was so proud of. The villagers back then were called man-eating demons, but they were also admired as transcendents, enlightened people not bound by earthly desires. So, according to your theory, a group of cultists who worship Oyashiro-sama are living in Hinamizawa, and they're trying to show the power of their god by enacting this series of mysterious deaths, right? I'm not sure if we should call them cultists or fundamentalists. The line between them is very vague. In the Meiji era, when the name of the village was changed to Hinamizawa, the customs and traditions of Onigafuchi were brought to an end. I think there are some people who want to revive those traditions and regain the name and awe of Onigafuchi. Mio-san's theory was more than a little crazy, but it was also fascinating. At first, her theory had sounded like she was just jumping to conclusions, but after she eagerly showed me the documents she had been studying, I started to think that it wasn't actually too far from the truth. If her theory was true, it would mean that the accidental deaths of the Hojo couple in the second year, the suicide and death by disease of the Furude couple in the third year, and the drug addict murder in the fourth year were all cooked up. It means someone who has a lot of power and influence over the police was involved. When I pointed that out, Mio-san nodded in agreement, and she started talking about how strongly they were rooted in the village, and how deeply they were involved with many public organizations. After she finished explaining all of that, I finally noticed that Mio-san was suggesting that the three families, including the Sonozaki family, were the masterminds behind the murder incidents. In fact, the Sonozaki family really is powerful, very powerful. They hold influence over not only over Hinamizawa and Okinomiya, but also over the entire Shishibone area. It might not be wrong to say that they even hold influence over the entire prefecture. If the Sonozaki family is behind all of this, her theory would be more realistic. But that means I should be very suspicious of Mi-chan. No, I shouldn't. But in fact, Mi-chan was very cold and unkind to Satoshi-kun when he was going through a tough time. I know that there was conflict between the Sonozaki family and the Hojo family during the Dam Wars, but still, she was very cold to Satoshi-kun. But Mi-chan admitted that what she did was wrong, and I forgave her too. I didn't want to think about that again. I decided to change the subject because I knew it would make me feel uncomfortable if we kept talking about the Sonozaki family. First of all, what is the people's belief in Oyashiro-sama all about? It's a little funny that demons and humans wanted to coexist. In folktales, humans usually try to wipe out the demons. That's quite true. That's why Oyashiro-sama is so interesting. However, there are actually many stories that say people in old days worshipped a god that had drifted to our world from the land of the gods. It's the worship of drifted gods, in other words. There are a number of myths all over the world about people worshipping a god who came from beyond the sea, or from up a river. The gods in those myths are actually people who came from different countries, right? And that's the general theory, yes. Ancient Japanese culture was far behind that of other nations. When Japanese people in those days saw a foreigner from a developed country, they were so impressed by the knowledge the person had that they started worshipping them as god. That's one theory. I've heard that Red Oni and Blue Oni were actually foreigners who drifted ashore in Japan because their boats got shipwrecked. The Japanese may have created Tengu out of foreigners, too. They probably saw a foreigner who had reddish skin with a very long nose. Wow, you're pretty sharp, Vena-chan. I agree with you. I think most drifted god worship are based on encounters with foreigners. But if that's so, Onigafuchi's drifted god worship would have a contradiction. Do you know what it is? No, I don't. It's easy. Onigafuchi isn't adjacent to the sea. Oh, of course. In order to have any connection to foreigners, the place in question must also have a connection to the outside world. In Western countries, that connection would be rivers running between adjacent countries. In Japan, that connection would be the ocean. So most of the drifted god stories in Japan originated near the shores. Isn't there a possibility that a foreigner washed ashore somewhere else first and then traveled to Onigafuchi? Well, the thing about the worship of Oyashiro-sama is, it specifically pinpoints Onigafuchi's swamp as the place where demons first appeared. The swamp isn't connected to any rivers, so how could a foreigner wash up there? That's why the mystery of Oyashiro-sama is so interesting. How much do you know about the legend of Oyashiro-sama? I just read a picture book about it in school. I feel like I know a lot about it, but I actually don't. I just have an extreme fear of the rule not to leave Hinamizawa. After all, my life went wrong after I left. I felt dizzy when I tried to think about it further, so I stopped. When everything went wrong in Ibaraki, I met Oyashiro-sama, and he told me to go back to Hinamizawa. No. I'll get dizzy. Don't try to remember. Don't try to remember. I can't remember. I got desperate because I felt responsible for the divorce. I just used Oyashiro-sama as an excuse for my mental instability, and I told my father I wanted to go back to Hinamizawa, right? But wait, Oyashiro-sama did come to me. Oh no, the colors are too dazzling. I can only remember the vivid colors of the pills and the dizziness. That's all you need to know. The demons came out of Onigafuchi's swamp and they attacked the villagers. Oyashiro-sama saw it and came down to save the villagers from the demons by exiling them to hell. The demons cried and the villagers felt bad for them. They decided to let the demons live in the village with them. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the kind hearts of the villagers, so he gave human forms to the demons and let them coexist. The blood in the demons blended with that of the villagers as they lived alongside each other. That's exactly what I read in the book. I felt dizzy, like I was going to faint, because I touched the one memory I didn't want to. People say that most myths are based on an event of some sort that happened long ago. What event do you think is the truth behind this myth? Because I was still feeling dizzy, all I could do was tilt my head quizzically. It seemed like Mio-san was expecting that response, because she smiled, looking satisfied that she successfully made me confused. She took a scrapbook out of her paper bag. I'll let you borrow this for a while. Thank you. But Don't worry, just read it whenever you have some time to kill. I want to know what you think about the things written in this scrapbook. I'd like to know, even if you disagree with me, because you are really sharp. You really are very sharp. Jiro-san isn't interested in things like this at all, so I appreciate your input. I had little choice but to take the scrapbook. Apparently Mio-san came to the library often, so I figured I could return it to her whenever I came to return my books. However, the day I'd return the scrapbook to Mio-san never came. What's wrong? You don't look good. Are you feeling okay? I caught a summer cold. I'm still recovering from it. It wasn't the summer cold that was making me feel dizzy. I always get dizzy when I try to remember the time I met Oyashiro-sama in Ibaraki. I mustered all my courage and asked her. Okay, yeah, so this is the part where those content warnings are going to become sort of prevalent. So, again, to remind you what those content warnings are, we're going to be talking about self-harm, we're going to be talking about visual, auditory, tactile hallucinations, and we're going to be talking about maggots in this scene. So, just a heads up. My memory of those days in Ibaraki is blurry. I know I met Oyashiro-sama. Nobody believed me, and they told me that it was a hallucination, but I thought Mio-san would listen to me. Mio-san, can I talk to you about something? Yes, of course. You listen to me, so it's my turn to listen to you. Well, it's about Oyashiro-sama. You might laugh at me. I won't. You didn't laugh at me either. Mio-san said it in a very gentle and mature way, and that encouraged me. Even so, I still hesitated to talk, but there was probably nobody but Mio-san with whom I could talk to about something like this. I gathered my courage again and spoke. I have met Oyashiro-sama. You have? Yes. I used to live in Hinamizawa until right before I went to elementary school. But my mother got a job in Ibaraki, so we moved. Well, you know what that means, right? Yes, I do. You broke the rule of Oyashiro-sama, which is to never leave Hinamizawa. That's right. And then many things happened. My mother divorced my father, and my family was broken. I got desperate and did some bad things. It must have been terrible. Then what happened? I started hating everything in this world, and I started to feel like everybody who was happy was looking down on me. That's when a mysterious existence started to appear. You mean Oyashiro-sama? The first time it came to me was... please don't tell anybody about this. It was when I started injuring myself by cutting my body with a knife. I cut my neck, and something very dirty and gross came out with the blood from the wound. It was... I'm not going to laugh. Go on. The chill I felt at that time came back to me. I sealed that memory away so that I wouldn't have to remember ever again. But once I unsealed it, I started remembering things one after another. Yes, back then there was something in the blood, something crawling. It was countless dark red maggots. They squirmed up and out from my neck with each drop of blood, but they wanted to stay in my body, so they crawled back in through the cut. I didn't want those creepy things to get back inside my body, so I clawed at the cut on my neck to get them out. But it hurt so much, and it only made my hands and neck bloody. I got scared all of a sudden. I was scared because I thought there were many nasty maggots in my blood vessels. So I cut a blood vessel in my thigh just to see how it looked. I thought I could see it better if it was on my thigh. Then they oozed out from there too. So many of them. I understand, Ryuka-san, so please calm down. No, you don't understand. The maggots come out with my blood, but then they try to get back inside my veins. It really, really itches.
Please, bring a doctor. No, don't claw at it like that. Bring me a sedative. Hurry! Hold her down.
Please kill the maggots in my veins. Please take all of the blood out of my body and flush my veins out. There are so many of them in there. Why don't you believe me? I'll show you. You'll believe me if you see them, right? I don't want to get any more shots. No. Calm down. Okay? Mia-san sat next to me and held my hands tightly. Her touch brought me back to reality. So, what happened? Nobody believed me. But then he showed up. Oyashiro-sama came to me. The memory was very vague, and I saw flickering lights. It made it difficult for me to remember. I met Oyashiro-sama. That sentence is all I remembered. The memory of actually meeting Oyashiro-sama was unbelievably vague. After I got out of the hospital, I continued being treated at home. I still felt something moving in my veins, so I wanted to cut my body to make the blood ooze out so that I could make sure that there were no maggots in there. Usually I was sleeping like the dead because of the strong pills I was taking. But one day I forgot to take the pill, and my consciousness was very clear. I felt the maggots moving in my veins, and I felt the urge to look inside. I cut a vein on my wrist. I knew it. A lot of blood and many dusky red maggots came out from the wound. I wanted to wash them off before they crawled back inside me, so I put my wrist under running water in the bathroom sink and I tried to open the vein. Water, blood, and maggots ran down into the drain, just like squeezing out the pus from a pimple. I squeezed the vein to get rid of the dirty blood and the maggots. I kept doing it. My arms started to feel numb and I felt cold, but I kept doing it. I thought I might die from losing too much blood, but I kept doing it. My body was filled with maggots. I had to squeeze all of my blood from out from me. And then a very bright light shone upon me. It was a very bizarre sensation. I'd never experienced anything like it in my life. All of a sudden, the dark bathroom was filled with a bright light. It was very bright, but gentle. It wasn't like the light from the merciless fluorescent bulb. It was very warm and gentle. That was Oyashiro-sama. Oyashiro-sama was looking at me with gentleness and sadness in his eyes. Sorry, I didn't mean to misgender Oyashiro-sama. As he touched my wound, the maggots started melting and disappearing in front of my eyes. That wasn't all. All the maggots that were moving throughout all my veins disappeared too. Oyashiro-sama taught me. These maggots were the curse. People of the demon's blood can't live outside of Hinamizawa. It's the rule. Unfortunately, you've been cursed. It's very sad, and I feel sorry for you. There's only one way to save you. That's what he said. What should I do? The answer was very simple. All I needed to do was go back to Hinamizawa. I unconsciously knew that before I heard it from Oyashiro-sama. People who were born in Hinamizawa must never leave. But I broke Oyashiro-sama's rules and I left Hinamizawa. That's why my family was broken and I lost my mind. If I hadn't left Hinamizawa, nothing would have gone wrong. And so, I had to go back. Oyashiro-sama also told me this. He could make the maggots, the embodiment of the curse, disappear, but only temporarily because I lived far from Hinamizawa. After a while, the power of Oyashiro-sama would fade away, and the curse would start eating my body again. If that happened, the maggots would take over my body and I would go insane and die. I must go back to Hinamizawa before his power to hold down the curse faded away. That's what Oyashiro-sama told me. He did. I heard him tell me that. I should have gone back to Hinamizawa earlier. That's why Oyashiro-sama came to me to put his curse on me. But he gave me a chance. He gave me a chance to pay for my sin of leaving Hinamizawa. Dad, listen. Oyashiro-sama is going to help us. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. Hinamizawa is the place where we must live. If we don't, not only me, but you might be cursed too. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. That's the only place where we can live. We need to hurry. We need to hurry, or Oyashiro-sama's power will fade away, and my body will be eaten by the maggots. No, Oyashiro-sama is following me. He's telling me to hurry. He follows me everywhere, and he keeps telling me to hurry. He keeps apologizing to me for putting his curse on me. He follows me everywhere and keeps apologizing. I'm telling you the truth. I am. Why can't anybody see it? Why can't they see the maggots or Oyashiro-sama? Everybody's trying to fool me. I know they can see them too. No, please stop. I don't want to give another shot. Are you okay? I was breathing hard, and Mio-san was holding my shoulders. I could feel that the terrible memory I'd been trying to forget was awakening. The doctors told me that the memory was just my delusion. They told me that since I had blamed myself for the divorce, I unconsciously had a desire to blame someone else for it, and I unconsciously connected the desire to the folk tale of Oyashiro-sama that I read when I was little. I got drug treatment, received counseling, and waited. I gradually got better, and that proved the things I saw were just a hallucination. The doctors asked my father to consider moving to Hinamizawa if possible. Fortunately, he wanted to change his living environment to heal his pain from the divorce as well. So, we came back to Hinamizawa. After we came back to Hinamizawa, I felt it. I felt it in my bones that this is the place where we should live. And I also felt Oyashiro-sama's blessing. I definitely felt it. I felt the curse of Oyashiro-sama starting to break. I was free. After I moved here, I went to the clinic in Gogora for a while. The doctor gave me the same poisonous-looking pills, and I kept taking them for a while. The terrible memory gradually became unclear. Whenever I tried to remember it, I could only remember the strong side effect of the pills, and it made me dizzy. That's how I regained my peace. And then, I changed my name, Reina. The reason was because my name reminded me of those bad memories. I didn't want to have anything icky in my life anymore. That's why I came up with the idea of taking icky things out. After I took the I of icky out from my name, Reina, there were only Re and Na left. That's how Rena was born. I liked that. When I was introduced to my classmates, I told them to call me Rena. Since then, that had been my name. I'm living my new life as Rena. I cut away all the sad things that happened while I was Reina. My father still calls me Reina, but I don't feel bad as long as it was just my father and my relatives. But then, Rena came into my life one day, and she called me Reina. Because she called me Reina, those colored lights started flickering again. I should stop. I should forget about it. The lights were still flickering. I'm sorry. Was I panicking that badly? You were muttering to yourself. I'm glad you calmed down. Judging by Mio-san's reaction, I wasn't panicking as badly as I thought I was. But I've probably had those panicked hallucinations several times. Yeah, Evie, I agree to that. I'm fairly certain that there was like a period. I can't tell you specifically when, but I know that there was like a period in my life where I also had a similar, like I grappled with a sort of similar sensation, and that was undoubtedly like during a time of emotional turmoil for me. So it is more common than people would think. If I started screaming and yelling like I once did, they'd take me away to a hospital for sure. I'm certain I met Oyashiro-sama. I saw the maggots. It's hard to believe, right? It's not necessarily a kid-specific thing. I just think that it is something that a lot of kids do deal with, though. Mio-san smiled, looking a little confused. I couldn't blame her. I didn't expect her to believe it. I'm sure it was just a strange memory I created for myself in my hallucinations. I can't believe I can't trust myself. That's the worst feeling of all. Rena-chan, first of all, you don't have to worry about anything. Yes, I'm talking about the curse you're afraid of, and the maggots you saw in your blood. According to what Oyashiro-sama said, you're free from them as long as you stay in Hinamizawa, right? Yes, that's what he said. Then you don't have to be scared. You don't have to worry about anything. You're in Hinamizawa right now. Well, this library is in Okinomiya, but it's very close to Hinamizawa. I'm sure it's okay with Oyashiro-sama. You don't feel anything moving in your veins right now, do you? No, I don't. So there's nothing to worry about. You're following Oyashiro-sama's rules. There's nothing you should be scared of. Is there? Right? No. No. I didn't know until then that she was such a warm-hearted person. I met many doctors and talked to them about this, but they always ignored me and didn't really listen. All they did was give me a shot of the drug I hated. On the other hand, Mio-san didn't deny my story or the existence of Oyashiro-sama. The people in this village whispered behind her back that she's a little crazy, but she was actually a very kind person, I thought. Rena-chan, I believe everything you just told me. Thank you so much. You're the first one to ever say that to me. So are you. You're the first one who didn't laugh at me and listened to me so seriously. I think we can be good friends. Mio-san smiled, touching my head with hers. Well, I'll let you borrow my secret files and my scrapbooks. These are top secret. I didn't want to show these to anybody, but you're special. I think I can trust you. I know you'll take them seriously. She took a few scrapbooks out of her paper bag and handed them to me. Let me know what you think after you read them. There might be something in them that only you can understand. Mio-san was acting mysteriously. She smiled mischievously and put her index finger on her lips as a sign to keep it a secret. Don't tell anybody about these scrapbooks or that I'm studying this, okay? We're keeping this a secret? Okay, I got it. If they find out that I've been studying this, they might get rid of me. You show them to every kid you meet? Well, not necessarily, no. She talks about things that are in it, but she's never actually given the scrapbook to someone before. She laughed after she said that. They might erase her. That's what she said. And she went missing. She left me her scrapbooks. But that's not all there is to it. It's the way Tomitake-san died. Oishi-san said he committed suicide because of a state of excitation caused by using some kind of drug. But I know what really happened. I didn't tell Oishi-san about it. I don't think he'd have believed me even if I told him. Without a doubt, Tomitake-san died trying to get rid of the maggots. It was nothing other than the curse of Oyashiro-sama. To never leave Hinamizawa isn't the only rule of Oyashiro-sama. There are more. He might have broken one of them without knowing it. Oishi-san told me. Tomitake-san was taking pictures with his camera flash on during the sacred ritual dance, and some people got mad at him for it. Did Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Tomitake because he violated the sacred ritual dance? It might be for another reason. Anyway, he died from the curse of Oyashiro-sama, without a doubt. Did that mean Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Mio-san too? Investigating the gods is the same as getting close to the gods. It's disrespecting them. But Mio-san told me that they might get rid of her if they found out about her investigation. But by they, she meant humans. Plus, according to her theory, the three families are in a conspiracy to revive the faith of Oyashiro-sama. But I can tell by the way Tomitake-san died that it was the act of the curse. I'm certain about that because I experienced the curse myself. And at first glance, that seemed incompatible with those conspiracy theories about human beings. I remember that Oishi-san told me something about some kind of drug that can make a person commit suicide. So, do the three families have a secret drug that can cause the curse of Oyashiro-sama? That's impossible. Plus, I didn't get any shots of any suspicious drug like that. I had a normal life in Ibaraki. I wasn't involved with the Sonozaki family or the Kimiyoshi family. Oishi-san asked me a favor. He asked me to tell him secretly if I saw or heard anything suspicious. It could be about Mi-chan, Rika-chan, or anybody in the village. Mio-san believed my story about Oyashiro-sama. Now she's gone. Tomitake-san died by doing the same thing I did. Oh no. I don't want to get involved with the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Is this a conspiracy of a group of fanatical cult members? Or is it the curse of Oyashiro-sama? Is everything just a set of coincidences? Or maybe it's a mixture of a conspiracy and a curse? I don't know. Is it the work of humans, the curse, or a coincidence? Oh no. Even the light of the sunset was making me feel dizzy. When did the sunlight in Hinamizawa get so mean? Mio-san told me to keep her investigation secret. I have her top secret scrapbooks. They might hold the truth about everything. When I realized that, I got scared all of a sudden. I might end up the same way as Mio-san, because I have her scrapbooks. If it's a conspiracy, I'll be erased. If it's the curse, I'll be cursed. I should burn the scrapbooks. That's the safest thing to do. But Mio-san believed my story. Mio-san listened to me without laughing. I feel wrong to burn them without taking a look. If it's a conspiracy, I have to expose it. If it's the curse, I have to break it. I shouldn't run away. I should fight. That's right. I decided to fight to seize my happiness. I shouldn't give in to misfortunes. I have to fight. I'm going to get rid of all the things that are trying to ruin my peaceful life. I'm going to read her scrapbooks when I get home. I started walking faster. Okay. Lunch takeout list.
Attention, Kuroda Medical Clinic. Hello. To get straight to the point, we can assume that this is an acute case of post-traumatic stress disorder. The patient is subject to tremendous stress because of her parents' sudden divorce, and being forced to choose to live with either her mother or her father. Furthermore, the patient firmly believes that she was responsible for her parents' divorce, which further drives her to self-mutilation.
Pining tree with the $10. Fun fact, the rising ghost sightings is related to the Industrial Revolution, as they were vibrating at a wavelength greater than 20 hertz, which the brain reacts to with fear due to natural sources being danger. Interesting.
The patient's largest shock stems from a sense of betrayal of her own household, which she believed was an absolute safe haven. Henceforth, there is a high possibility that the patient will resort to psychological defense measures to protect her family.
I meant less than. Okay, gotcha.
For example, she might feel high disdain for any person of the opposite sex who approaches her father. She might feel uncomfortable about having other people in her home. She may also display eccentric behavior in order to keep people away from it. As an example of the latter, there are reported cases of patients unconsciously bringing home garbage. It's highly important that the patient remains in close communication with her father. By deepening the communication between the two of them, it will strengthen their family bond and loosen up her anxiety. Since the patient only shows signs of an acute syndrome in this case, there's a very good chance that she'll recover within 3 months with her father's support and proper medication. However, it's common for a patient who seemed to have recovered to have a sudden reoccurrence, a flashback, even after 10 years. Her father is still fairly young, and there's still a chance that he could remarry. However, seeing an unfamiliar member of the opposite sex through remarriage could trigger a flashback in the patient, which may lead to avoidance behavior or hyper-awareness. Please explain this part thoroughly to the father in order for him to understand the recovery process. Should the father decide to remarry, it's recommended that he should hold off telling the patient until she reaches the age where she's capable of living independently. Also, the cause of the patient's psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, delusional parasitosis, seems to be its own culture-bound syndrome. The patient blindly believes that leaving her home village will cause a curse, and that this curse was the cause of her parents' divorce. We believe this is a subconscious defensive mechanism to reduce her mental trauma by shifting the blame from herself to her village's curse. According to the patient's statement, the culture of her home village is extremely strict and exclusive. The patient believes that there's no way to be saved from the curse other than by going back to the village, as the curse will continue as long as she lives in her current environment. Through this, we see an inclination of schizophrenia and believe the chances are high that the patient will continue to alter their perceived reality. Schizophrenia, a case where patients' personalities are reduced, causing altered perceptions of reality and delusions. Her delusion about the maggots dwelling in her blood is a perfect example. It's also the cause of her psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior. When a delusion involves psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, it's extremely dangerous. I highly recommend for the father to move back to the village if he's financially capable. Allowing her to live with the relatives in the village might also work. If such a strong belief can induce symptoms such as self-mutilation, then there might be other cases similar to this one. Perhaps prior medical files that document similar culture-bound syndromes may be available at a large medical institution in her local area. It'll then be possible to provide better and more accurate mental care for the patient by obtaining these case files. This B5 size letter...
This B5 size letter was with a bunch of memos. The following was on the back side of the letter.
1 chukadon, 3 Shanghai-style gomoku yakisoba, 1 large fried rice.
About homing ability and homesickness. If you maybe I should also do
If you interpret homing ability in a broad sense, you can say that most animals have a homing ability. It's the same with humans. We like to sleep, rest, and eat at a place where we feel comfortable, namely, our homes. Your home is to you what nests are to animals. Therefore, we can say that humans have a homing ability as well. First of all, why do animals need nests? The answer is the same for humans. Sleeping, resting, and eating are the essential actions for survival. At the same time, those actions leave one defenseless as well. That's why you need a safe area where you can be defenseless. Everybody knows that not having this safe area results in a high level of stress. When you move an animal to a new environment, it naturally becomes stressed. When you force a person to live in a foreign land where they are uncomfortable, they become greatly stressed as well. Everybody also knows that this kind of stress is called homesickness. The Japanese don't know much about homesickness. We defined it as a mental weakness, and we neglected to treat it for a long period of time. However, homesickness has a very long history. In Europe's Middle Ages, people believed it wasn't a mental but rather a physical disease. People also believed that out of everyone, the Swiss got the disease the most. The Swiss, you see, were known to be an ethnic group that worked away from home in that era. They lived far away from their homes. There were no telephones at that time, so they couldn't even hear their families' voices for ages and ages. It's easy to imagine that the young Swiss workers got homesick while working in a strange land. These Swiss who got homesick wanted to go home, but they couldn't because of their jobs. The conflict made them weak physically and mentally. Some of them went crazy and tried to escape from their reality by committing suicide or running away. The Swiss at the time were very superstitious, and many folk remedies and occult-like treatments to prevent homesickness went around. Since going home was the only treatment, they must have called it a fatal disease. But it isn't really one, of course. Specifically, homesickness is a sign that human homing instinct is a sign of that human homing instinct. Your brain desires to go back to your safe area, namely your home. At first, your brain makes you remember the happy memories of your home, and it urges you to go home in a natural way. But when reason stops you from achieving your desire, your brain starts sending unnatural signals to your body. As a result, your body gets weak, and that makes it more difficult for you to live in a strange land. In the end, you have to bend reason in order to achieve your desire to go home. So, homesickness is born from our homing instincts. And the stronger one's homing instinct is, the stronger their homesickness. The strength of that homing instinct varies from individual to individual, and depends on the environment in which those individuals live. When your home is safe and the environment you live in is dangerous, your homing instinct grows stronger. On the other hand, when the environment you live in is safer than your homing instincts become very weak. Safety isn't the only element that affects its strength. Cultural aspects affect it too. The many customs demanding families to return home for major events varies with each region, so your birthplace's culture also alters the strength of your homing instinct. Amongst those regions, the transcendents of Onigafuchi village were believed to have an excessively strong homing instinct. The people of Onigafuchi forbade their fellows from ever leaving. Many believed this was the effect of the elitism and sense of purity I already mentioned before. People today still strongly believe that Oyashiro-sama puts his curse on you if you break his rule and abandon the village. This superstition can be interpreted as homesickness. If homesickness is directly proportional to one's homing instinct, then the exaggerated expression, curse, would signify the strength of that homesickness, and also their homing instinct. I can assume that they hated the outside world and created an insular society precisely because of their powerful homing ability. Unfortunately, there is no way to measure the strength of the homing ability that the primitive people of Onigafuchi had. It was so strongly forbidden to leave the village that nobody left long enough to get homesickness. However, after the Meiji era, things changed. The sacredness of Onigafuchi dwindled with the efforts of modernization. Many young people started longing for city life, and some people were forced to leave the village to get a job. As a result, villagers started venturing outside the village borders. That was when the transcendents of Onigafuchi realized how strong their homing ability was for the first time. The residents of Hinamizawa got extremely homesick. After a while, people started to call this homesickness the curse of Oyashiro-sama. It became rumored that a person who left the village to get a job in a strange land was cursed, that he went crazy and died, and people who had left the village started coming back to either it or the nearby town. Their homesickness and their homing ability were very strong because of their culture. It's reasonable to think that these were cultivated by the unique religion in Hinamizawa, namely, the cult of Oyashiro-sama. From the moment they were born, they were taught the rules of Oyashiro-sama. They must have felt guilty about leaving the village unconsciously. As a result, they considered their homesickness to be the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I'm not sure if their homesickness got stronger because of the rules of Oyashiro-sama, or if they made the rules of Oyashiro-sama because their homesickness got stronger. I don't know which came first.
I got tired of reading such small print, and lay down on the floor on my back. The true identity of the curse of Oyashiro-sama is homesickness? Mio-san believed my story, and she let me read these scrapbooks. That's why I expected to find something interesting. But what it's saying is that the answer to all of it is homesickness, which many doctors told me so many times at counseling. I'm a little upset. The word homesickness can't explain the extraordinary experience I had. I saw Oyashiro-sama come down to me from a bright light in the bathroom. I saw the dusky red nasty maggots come out of my blood vessels. The scrapbook doesn't explain any of that. I don't understand how Mio-san was going to explain the cloud of maggots. Maybe she didn't have any explanation of that to begin with. Was it just a delusion? I flipped through one of the other scrapbooks Mio-san let me borrow, looking for an explanation of the maggots I saw. Then, I found it. It had the exact title I was looking for.
About maggots and the curse of Oyashiro-sama. In the Meiji era, a group of villagers were on their way back to Hinamizawa, and they started discussing a rumor about a weird disease. They said that maggots started crawling out of the wounds of a person who left Hinamizawa, and that the maggots ate the person's body from the inside. The Shinto priest of the Furude shrine at the time explained that the weird disease was a sign of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. According to tradition, the Shinto priest showed the villagers an ancient scroll, and he told them that the story of the maggots had been passed down through the ages. This is what the scroll said. The world where the demons came from must be interpreted as the land of death. And the demons in that land of death had to live their lives while being eaten by maggots. The villagers who were of the demon's blood had nothing to worry about as long as they lived in Hinamizawa under the protection of Oyashiro-sama. But once they left Hinamizawa, abandoning that protection, the maggots that had been sleeping in the blood of the demons would start to awaken, and they'd eat their bodies from the inside out. This maggot disease scared the villagers for a while, and they asked the shrine to provide them with protective talismans whenever they had to leave the village on business. This is interesting, as it's similar to the way homesickness was dealt with by the Swiss in the Middle Ages. After the war started, the delusion of the maggot disease faded away, but there remained a custom to send talismans to families that lived away from Hinamizawa. The talismans had the word maggot on them. But the most interesting part about all of this is that the residents of Hinamizawa didn't know about the maggot disease until the rumors began. I'd thought that their unconscious worship made those people think of homesickness as a curse. So this case of the previously unknown maggot disease directly contradicted the research I had done so far. It's natural to think that a group of people who were on their way back to the village were lost in a mass delusion because they strongly believed in the curse, and that the Shinto priest took advantage of their state of panic to instill a deeper faith in them. But I'm not fully convinced that it was merely a coincidence that this mass delusion matched with the story in the old picture scroll. I wonder if it's possible to see maggots in a wound without having the prerequisite knowledge when a person is cursed by Oyashiro-sama. I wish Oyashiro-sama would put his curse on someone I could study. I'd love to see those maggots coming out of someone.
I felt as if Mio-san was here and making that request of me. I remember. When she gave me the scrapbooks, she said that I might be the only one who could understand them. I felt good just for a moment, because I found out that maggots weren't a delusion. But at the same time, it destroyed my excuse that it was a delusion. The maggots weren't a delusion. They were there. All of a sudden, my wrists, elbows, inner thighs, and neck started itching. I felt the urge to cut open a blood vessel, but I quietly held it down. I remembered that Mio-san looked very serious when I talked about the maggots. She must have thought it was creepy, but so did I. While I was crying because nobody believed me, a part of me didn't want to believe that my body was filled with those creepy things. I think part of me wanted to believe that it was a delusion, but now I know it wasn't. It wasn't a delusion. There are some people who had the same experience. Maggots in the demon's blood will awaken when you lose the protection of Oyashiro-sama. In other words, they may not awaken under the protection of Oyashiro-sama, but all the villagers still have the maggots in them without knowing it. People of the demon's blood are people who have the creepy maggots in their bodies. I tried not to jump to conclusions and flipped the pages again. I unconsciously looked for something related to maggots. About
parasites and control of the host. The maggot disease made me think about something. Is it possible to say that the extremely strong homesickness of Hinamizawa was an infectious disease caused by some kind of parasite? I'm not trying to connect the maggots they saw with parasites. I'm trying to think about the possibility that their culture, their religion, might be associated with an infectious disease. Many infectious diseases are caused unintentionally by parasites. A parasite's host is literally its home. It wants to live within the host's body for as long as it can. The best way to do that is to coexist with the host without the host knowing it. But some parasites try to control their hosts and use them for prosperity. For example, some parasites have an ability to control their host, in order to force them to be eaten by a superior host. A typical example is the Dichrochelium dendriticum. It uses snails or ants as immediate hosts, and it forces them to move to the upper side of vegetation so that it's easier for a superior host to consume it. One parasite that controls more complicated animals is called Toxoplasma gondii. It uses mice as intermediate hosts, with the superior hosts being cats. This parasite makes a mouse lose its fear of cats in order to increase its chance of getting eaten, so that the parasite can live within a cat instead. There are parasites that choose hosts at random. The rabies virus is commonly known for that. It lives and breeds in the brain of a host, and it moves into the host's saliva through the salivary glands. It makes the host extremely aggressive in order to make it bite things randomly so that it can in turn move into other hosts through the saliva. That's what rabies does. Many parasites have a similar ability to control hosts to their benefit. The examples I used above are about parasites that move into other hosts to prosper. But I think there must be some kind of parasite that controls its host in order to have a comfortable environment in which to live. I want to try and connect this theory to the abnormal homing ability and homesickness of the Onigafuchi residents. Let's say there's some kind of parasite that exists in Hinamizawa, and it lives within all of the villagers' body. For the parasite, Hinamizawa is the most comfortable environment to live in, so it gives the host a strong homing ability in order to make them stay in Hinamizawa. Furthermore, it causes the hosts to get homesick whenever they ignore this homing ability and try to leave. Parasites need hosts in which to live. It's convenient for them if their hosts build a community in the environment where it feels most comfortable. This theory makes it easier for me to explain the mysteries I described earlier. The Transcendents of Onigafuchi knew about the existence of this parasite. They knew that as hosts to the parasites, they couldn't live outside of the village. That's why they created a culture and rules that prohibited contact with the outside world. It also explains why people acted so abnormal during the dam conflict. So, the demons that came out of the swamp in the legend of Oyashiro-sama can be interpreted as the mass spread of the parasite. The story about the demons attacking the villagers must be a metaphor for the behavior of the infected villagers who were controlled by the parasite.
This theory is too crazy. I should have just laughed about it, but I felt bad for Mio-san, so I decided not to. Hinamizawa is controlled by a parasite? You could use that theory to explain how the maggots came out of me. I felt a little bit dizzy. I was so confused, and a part of me thought it was ridiculous, and another part of me thought that it was more convincing than any curse. But Mio-san was probably erased because she wrote these scrapbooks. If so, the contents of these scrapbooks must be something that they can't ignore. They try to get all of her scrapbooks and consign them to oblivion. What if they noticed some of her scrapbooks are missing? I felt a chill running through my spine. I have to keep it as a secret that I have these scrapbooks. I'll have to try to understand more about their contents. I remember Mio-san told me that the three families are behind the series of mysterious deaths, and that they're trying to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama. According to the theory I just read, the parasite must be trying to maintain the current environment of Hinamizawa. The healthiest environment for it is a completely closed village, just like the primitive Onigafuchi. It must be very comfortable for the parasite if no hosts go outside the village. They don't even like that the villagers often leave the village to go shopping. That means the parasites would try to goad the hosts into resurrecting the cult of Oyashiro-sama. I remembered that there was an article in the scrapbook saying that the demon's blood runs thickest in the three families. That would mean that they have a larger amount of the parasite in them than the other villagers, and that they're under its control. The three families seem to be planning to bring the village back to the Onigafuchi era. Reviving the Watanagashi festival after the dam conflict can be interpreted as their desire to revive the faith that had started to fade away in the Meiji era. The three families, especially the Sonozaki family, have a great influence over the region and the public organizations. What's going on here? I thought that this would be a poorly written theory, but the pieces fit together, one after another. I'd never played a jigsaw puzzle as crazy as this. I felt my brain swirling due to this absurd theory. A part of me thought this was ridiculous, and another part of me thought I might be able to expose an unbelievable truth. When I tried to look into the center of it, I felt as if I was going to fall into the whirlpool and drown. I'll have to devote myself to reading more seriously. There must be some truth to this. It caused misfortune and made my life miserable after I moved to Ibaraki. I might be able to find the truth, including the cause of my parents' divorce and my desperate behavior. Right then, I heard a knock on the door all of a sudden, scaring me. I hid the scrapbooks under a cushion. One moment.
Reina, you have a phone call.
A phone call? This late? Who is it?
It's from a bookstore. Did you order some books? They said that they were Oishi-san from the Okinomiya bookstore.
Oh boy. Which is exactly what happened when Oishi called Keiichi in Onikakshi, as you might recall. I opened the windows, but all they let in was heat and the cries of the cicadas.
It's too hot.
Oh wait, that was that. Okay, that was Keiichi actually. Narration, I think. Yeah. Sorry, it's just been a while since we've done Keiichi narration, so I keep forgetting.
It really is. It was break time between classes, but we couldn't really get any rest. Mion and I leaned on our desks as exhausted by the heat. The younger kids sure are tough, considering how the heat wasn't bothering them at all. They were running around the classroom despite the temperature.
Do schools in the cities have air conditioning in their classrooms?
No, they don't. Only the teacher's office gets to have air conditioning.
Wow. Well, that's better than nothing. If I were a student at a school like that, I'd attack the teachers and take over their office.
You'd be the first ever student to do that. I didn't even have the energy to laugh. Mion and I stopped talking and used our notebooks to fan ourselves. I looked at the empty seat nearby. It was Rena's. Rena didn't come to school today. She called and told Chie-sensei she couldn't come because she's sick. Rena seems to be feeling down these days. Yeah, she probably got tired from the heat. Do you really think that that's the reason? Yeah, why? I think it's the incident. Maybe.
It's probably both that and the summer heat.
I can't even imagine how distressing it was for her to commit a murder, dismember the bodies, and get caught by her friends. We took each other's hands at that place, and we united. All of us believed that we had closed the case there and had regained our peace. But was that as easy for Rena as it was for us? She must not have quite recovered yet.
This old man thought that she'd get over it if she played along with us.
But I guess her pain ran deeper than I thought. What should we do to cheer her up?
It's best just to leave her alone, I think.
Hey, are you sure about that? We're her friends, you know.
Well, it's like homesickness, you know? You get lonely and you want to call home just to hear your mom's voice, but that actually makes your homesickness worse. When you're feeling lonely, the best thing to do is to devote yourself to sports or something like that for a change.
I want her to do club activities with us, but she doesn't want to.
I don't know about her, but people usually have a desire to depend on somebody. You want to depend on somebody who supports you and sympathizes with you. Haven't you ever experienced that feeling? When you can't stop depending on somebody when they try to cheer you up?
Well, I don't know.
Completely depending on someone means trying to earn even deeper sympathy from them. At that point, even though you're trying to comfort them, they just slip further and further into depression. By finding initial success through relying on someone and receiving comfort, they grow addicted to indulging in misfortune. I think Rena knows that too. That's why she wants to be alone right now. If she wanted to depend on us or get comfort from us, all she'd have to do is stay with us and cry all the time.
So, how can we cheer her up?
I think she'd appreciate it more if you tried to help her forget her pain than if you tried to cheer her up.
Don't comfort her and don't cheer her up. There's nothing I can do, is there?
That's a golden rule for psychologists, don't you know? Did you know? Mental trauma can only be healed by the person who has it. If someone else helps a person out of their mental trauma, even if they succeeded, that person wouldn't be completely healed. So all we can do now is wait until Rena heals on her own. I understand the idea, but I just don't like how cold it sounds. I clasped my hands behind the back of my head, looking at the ceiling. Mion laughed. Rena will be fine as long as she has someone like you to worry about her. I'm sure she can pull herself together. So all I need to do is to be close to her? I don't know about that.
There is something that you can do, Keiichi.
Rika-chan spoke up. I wonder how long she had been listening to our conversation. What is it?
You can listen to her when she wants to talk to somebody.
Is that all? I just listen and I don't need to make her feel better? Kei-chan, people feel better just by talking to somebody. Sometimes all they need is someone who does nothing but listen quietly.
Just like me said, I think it's important for us as her friends to be there for her whenever she wants to talk to somebody.
Mion and Rika-chan were absolutely right. I was going to pat Rena on her shoulder and tell her to cheer up when I saw her next, but now I know that would have been one-sided on my part. Rena doesn't want to feel down herself. She wants to cheer up if at all possible. If I cheered her up irresponsibly, she'd be very disappointed because she'd think that I didn't understand her pain. You're right. I guess I wasn't even trying to understand how she felt. I wanted to cheer her up, but I now know that that's what I want to do, not what she wants me to do. Thanks, you two. I think I finally understand. On that day, I thought I cheered her up, but I started to doubt if I had reached her heart. I might have just been dragging her someplace where I wanted her to go. I wasn't on her side in the real sense of the term. All of a sudden, Rika-chan patted my head.
Don't worry. We all know that you're on her side.
What? What? Did I say something out loud again? It did reach her heart. Kei-chan, you really did give her great strength on that day. Well, now that I think about it, what you said on that day was more than a little theatrical. We heard footsteps from the hallway, and everybody started to head back to their desks.
Take your seats, everyone. President, if you would.
All rise. Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like, granted, yes, it is very case by case on several of those elements. I don't think Mion is necessarily completely wrong about that, though. There are many times where I have felt like absolute dog shit and just wanted to talk to somebody about how I felt, and if they tried to offer me a solution or say, like, you know, oh, here's what you can do or whatever, that just made me feel worse. Like, I didn't really want somebody to offer me a solution. I just wanted them to nod along and say, yeah, that sucks. Because that in and of itself was cathartic. That made me feel better. I just wanted somebody to listen to what I had to say. We didn't have a club meeting that day because Rena wasn't around. That worked out for me, because I had an errand to run. It wasn't a big errand. My mom wanted me to use her point card to get some detergent. I didn't see the point of going all the way to the store just to get detergent, but my mom told me to go because she's busy helping my dad with his work. I started walking towards the shopping center. I noticed someone was watching me, hiding behind a distant tree. I wonder who would do such a mischievous thing. I stared at them to find out who it was, at which point they emerged. Oh, Rena. Are you feeling better now? I was about to say that, but I swallowed the words. Somehow, Rena looked very serious. What's going on? Shh! Rena put her index finger to her lips, told me to be quiet, looked around carefully, and beckoned for me to come over. I had no idea what was going on, but I followed her instructions, shut my mouth, and ran to her. Rena gestured for me to squat down to hide in the shadow of the bush. I didn't know why I had to do that, but I could ask her the questions later. I just followed her orders for now. Rena looked like she was making sure no one was following her. If it was Mion, she'd do something like this to fool me as a joke, but I know Rena doesn't do things like this for fun. I had no idea what kind of situation I'd gotten myself into, but I could feel how tense it was, and I made myself as small as I could.
Good. It's okay now.
By the way, very fun parallel here with Keiji noticing somebody stopped behind and watching him. And in this arc, he's perfectly fine. So he's just like, oh, hi, Rena, how's it going? In Onikakushi, when he notices Rena is standing and watching him from a distance, he's like, well, come the fuck out! What? What do you want from me? So.
I'm sorry.
The tone of her voice made me relax a little. Phew. What's going on?
I think someone has been following me.
What? Who would follow her? When I thought about it, I realized how stupid the question was. Is it the police? Rina Mamiya and Teppei Hojo. 2 people disappeared. Even though they were awful human beings, the police had to investigate if they found out that they'd gone missing. It probably wouldn't be difficult to find out that Rina had often been to Rena's house. But it should be okay. As long as they don't find those bags, it should be okay.
I don't know if it's the police or not, but I feel like someone has been watching me since the night of Watanagashi.
What do you mean? Once I asked that question, Rena stared directly at me with a blank expression. Her eyes looked as though they were evaluating me. She stared at me as if she was assessing whether I was worth talking to about something very important. Rena squeezed her own wrist tightly, then started talking in a whisper.
I can tell you what's going on, but can you keep it a secret?
Yeah, of course I can. If you want me to keep it a secret, I won't tell anybody.
Okay. I trust you.
She smiled and looked around one more time.
They might be looking for Mio-san's scrapbooks.
Mio-san? Oh, the nurse, Takano-san? What about her scrapbooks?
The police are keeping the investigation under wraps, so I'm sure you don't know. Mio Takano-san was murdered.
What? What? When?
She told me to be quiet again.
I lowered my voice and let her continue.
On the night of Watanagashi, we met Mio-san and Tomitake-san, didn't we? They were attacked right after that. Tomitake-san was cursed by Oyashiro-sama. He clawed out his throat and died. Mio-san was burned to death in the mountains of the Gifu prefecture.
Is that true? I mean, nobody told me about that.
I know. That's because the police haven't disclosed their investigation. These cases make the 5th of the series of mysterious deaths, so the police have decided not to go public yet.
I see. I understand why the police are keeping quiet about it, but then, where did you hear this?
Can you keep it a secret? I've been in contact with Oishi-san. He's a detective from the Okonomiya Police Department. He told me about the case.
Why did he tell you?
I don't know. He said he told me because he could trust me.
I was dumbfounded to hear all of this, but I knew she wasn't lying. If it was Mion, she'd be sticking her tongue out by now, but Rena wouldn't make a joke out of something like this.
I think the reason why Mio-san was murdered is because of her research. Do you know she was doing ethnological research by studying the history of this village?
I've heard something along those lines. Takano-san was interested in the occult and in mysterious things. I remember Mion once told me that she was studying the village's legends of man-eating demons out of curiosity.
I think she discovered a very important secret about this village through her studies. Or maybe she wasn't even close to the truth, but they thought she was.
Wait a second. What's the secret of this village you're talking about?
I just read a few of her scrapbooks, but those were the ones where she was handling with extreme caution, so I think there are pretty important things written in them. I think I know about 80% of what Mio-san was trying to uncover. But if it's true, it's almost too crazy to believe. Right now, I'm trying to find out whether Mio-san's theory is right or not.
So, what is it? What is the secret of this village? What could be so important that you might get killed just by knowing it? I gasped the moments those words left my mouth. If Rena told me, I might get killed too.
I don't want to tell you yet, but I promise I will once I verify things. Because it's really crazy. Too crazy to be true.
What do you mean, you have to verify things?
For example, I myself serve as verification that the maggot disease can occur without any background knowledge, but there are a lot of things I still need to verify. They sound too crazy to be true, and I can hardly believe them if I don't verify that they are.
Maggots? I was totally lost now, and I wanted to ask her some questions, but I decided not to cut in. It was so hot outside. But Rena held her arms as if she was cold. Rena, I'm always on your side. You can trust me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
From her expression alone, I could tell that she really meant it. I could also tell that she was involved in something very big, and that she felt lonely because she couldn't tell anybody else about it. I had to be on her side while she was going through a difficult time.
You shouldn't tell anybody that you met me here today. They might try to hurt you if they found out.
Okay. Isn't there anything I can do to help?
Not right now, but it's very reassuring that I can ask you for help when I need it. I'll depend on you someday.
Yeah, anytime.
Shh! A car's coming!
Rena pushed my head into the bush. I went along with it and crouched down even lower into the bushes. We stayed quiet for a while. I could hear a car coming closer, and after a while, a white van passed by. I was surprised at her hearing. She heard the car coming when it was still far off in the distance.
Did you see its license plate number?
What? No, I'm sorry. I didn't.
I couldn't either, but I think it's the same car I saw earlier.
Are they the ones following you?
I think so. It passed by me many times today on the street, where nobody usually drives. I hid every time, but it's strange.
Are they the ones? Are they the ones who killed Takano-san and Tomitake-san? Are they looking for the scrapbooks you have? Jadariel with the Canadian $2. This scene hurts so much. Yeah.
Most likely, yes.
I don't blame her for not being able to believe what's going on, because this is really crazy. Takano-san uncovered something really significant through her studies. The people who want that information hidden found out about it, and they killed her on the night of Watanagashi, copying the curse of Oyashiro-sama. They're looking for the scrapbooks, the fruits of her research, and Rena has them. That's why they're trying to kill Rena? What about your house?
It's safe there. I hid the scrapbooks in my secret hideout at the garbage dump. I'm worried about my father, but he'll be fine because he really doesn't know anything. It's written on your face, Keiichi-kun. It says I can't believe it because it sounds too crazy to be true. Am I right?
I wanted to deny it, but I felt bad to lie. I remained silent in the affirmative.
Well, that's a normal reaction. I couldn't believe any of it when I read the first scrapbook. I finally started seeing the connections after reading all of them.
I'm sorry. I do want to help you, but I just don't know how, if I don't see the whole picture of what's going on.
If I tell you, it might put you in danger.
You're already in danger, right? I don't mind. Don't worry about me.
Okay. I'll tell you then. It's probably the three families who killed Mio-san and Tomitake-san. To be more specific, it's the Sonozaki family, Mi-chan's family.
Why?
You know about the series of mysterious deaths, right?
Of course. The traders of the dam conflict die every year, right?
The series of mysterious deaths is like a resolution of the dam conflict. They're trying to end the dam conflict in the true sense of the term by erasing people who betray the village.
It does look like that in a way. Nobody really says it out loud, but everybody is suspicious that the Sonozaki family is behind it. That's what I've heard.
But if they really wanted to erase the traitors, they wouldn't have to do it on the night of Watanagashi. Why don't they kill them all at once instead of killing them one by one, using the curse and demoning them away every year? Wouldn't that make more sense?
I've never heard the words demoning away before, but Rena clearly thought they had some kind of creepy, significant meaning, so I decided not to cut in.
That means that they're using the series of mysterious deaths in order to resurrect the sacredness of the Watanagashi festival. Step by step, they're reviving the sacred nature of Onigafuji that was lost in the Meiji era. Their goal is to revive the level of belief in Oyashiro-sama that used to exist in primitive times.
Belief in Oyashiro-sama? Are you talking about the Furude Shrine?
Yes. Do you think people revere the Furude Shrine now? Elder people respect the shrine, but that's it. Kids think of it as a place to play, and most of the villagers think of it as a place to gather for local events. Its sacredness has been lost. But with the dam conflict, it started to revive. and they took it as a good opportunity to bring back the cult of Oyashiro-sama.
So, you're saying that some fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers are behind all of this?
That's what I'm saying. The cult of Oyashiro-sama is managed by the three families to begin with. The three families passed down their ultimate goal of reviving the cult of Oyashiro-sama down to the present generation. When you think about it, you'll understand why the three families took the initiative in uniting the villagers during the dam conflict, and why they set up the Onigafuchi Guardian's office in the Furude Shrine, citing Oyashiro-sama, who was almost forgotten at that time.
So the three families, the fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers, orchestrated the series of mysterious deaths of Hinamizawa. But wait, why would they kill Takano-san?
Because she discovered the important secret of this village. The three families have been hiding it since the era of Onigafuchi. If the secret is revealed, the sacredness of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. They found out that Mio-san was getting close to the secret, and that's why they killed her.
What is this important secret? I don't care if I put myself in danger. I need to know.
I don't want to tell you yet. I don't want to tell you until I'm 100% sure about it. I'm pretty sure that right now you'd just laugh.
Hey, do you think I'm that kind of guy?
I just need a little more time. I can't accept the truth myself because it sounds so impossible. So I need some time. Please.
I understand.
Don't tell anybody about what we talked about today. Not even Mi-chan, Rika-chan, or Satoko-chan.
Okay.
Well, you should go now. I'll take a look around for a while before I go home. I can't be too careful anymore.
Rena ducked low in the bushes and moved away. I was left alone there. The cries of the cicadas surrounded around me, making it seem as if I was alone there the whole time. I started walking, still dumbfounded. In the end, Rena didn't tell me the secret because she was afraid of putting me in danger. But she told me clearly that there are people who want to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama, and that they're among the three families that control the entire village. They orchestrated the series of mysterious deaths for that purpose, and they killed Takano-san because she got too close to the secret they wanted to hide. Rena met Takano-san and happened to obtain the scrapbooks in which Takano-san wrote about her research. Rena still can't believe the secret written in the scrapbooks because it's just too crazy. Hey, come on, Rena. You're kidding me, right? It's like one of those comic book stories. A mysterious occult group is plotting a conspiracy. It's not funny even if it's a joke. But Rena is right about one thing. Even if this is true, it's really hard to believe. I understand why Rena wanted to wait to tell me about the secret. Maybe she was just fooled by Takano-san. But Takano-san was murdered for real. So is it also true that someone is following Rena looking for the scrapbooks? I remember. Rena said that a white van was following her. You can see white vans anywhere. I bet there are a lot in this village alone. She might just be oversensitive to everything right now. Rena hasn't recovered from the shock since that day. That's probably why she got the idea into her head that the police or someone else is coming after her. I didn't cut in while she was talking. I think I did the right thing. If I had said that it was ridiculous or something to her face, Rena wouldn't have ever trusted me again. At that point, however, I gasped. A white van was parked on the side of the street. I wasn't sure if this was the same car that passed by earlier, since I didn't see the plate number, but the number of people in the car and the ambiance of it was similar to the one earlier. And there's one thing that looked suspicious about it. There was no reason to park here. It was on a small road in the middle of the woods. There's nothing around here. No traffic lights, no vending machines, and no public phones. I probably wouldn't notice it under ordinary circumstances, but I felt something was wrong. And once I noticed how odd it was definitely suspicious. There were 4 men in work uniforms in the white van. The driver was smoking a cigarette, but the other men were just sitting there doing nothing. If they wanted to take a break or have a smoke, they could have chosen a better place than here. It was possible that they stopped because they had to go to the bathroom really badly, but it didn't seem that way either. They didn't look as comfortable or relaxed like they would if they were taking a break. They looked like they were waiting for something to happen. There was a deep tension in that car. Could they possibly be waiting for Rena? No way. I didn't see anybody walking around here. This road is a back road. Nobody really uses this road, let alone by car. But it's impossible. I felt bad for Rena to even think about it, but this must be something that she got into her head, because she's feeling victimized or something. She must be imagining things because she's still nervous from when her friends caught her in the act of killing Rena and Tepe. Hey, young man. I heard someone say that when I passed by the van. He couldn't mean me. He didn't even know who I was, so I assumed he was talking to one of the other people in the car. I pretended I didn't hear him and I kept walking by, and then he said it again, and honked the horn as well. Hey, young man! Excuse me! You on your way home from school? He had a strong accent, similar to that of the older villagers. He must live here, but I didn't know him. I could tell he didn't know me either, because he didn't call me by name. Yes, I am. You've been walking on this road all the way from school, right? You turn the corner where the stationery store is, right? Yes. So? They were probably lost, I thought. This village has many small turns, and you can easily get lost when you try to take a shortcut. So they must have been waiting for someone to ask for directions. But then he said something disturbing. Young man, didn't you see a girl on the way here? Huh? What? A girl with a white hat and white clothes. The purple ribbon on it? Did you see her? They were definitely talking about Rena. No, I didn't. I wasn't ready to hear them ask that. Rather, I was scared. That's why my voice got all shaky. Up until that point, I couldn't believe Rena's story. I thought it was ridiculous. I actually laughed, if only to myself. That's why I wasn't ready at all. My heart was beating fast, and I was sweating all over. I immediately answered, no, I didn't, but it might have sounded like an obvious lie. The driver stared into my eyes. He looked like he was trying to figure out if I was lying or not, and my legs started to shake. I felt like a frog under the glare of a snake, and I couldn't move a muscle for a while. But I think the same went for those men, too. They were clearly a suspicious group, and they had just asked a villager about a girl out of the blue. Anybody would get suspicious. And I was right. The man broke the ice and started making excuses before I even asked him why he wanted to know about the girl. Well, I was asking for no particular reason. We just passed by a girl earlier, but you're a boy, so we were just wondering. Oh. Okay. Please forget about it. Sorry for the trouble, young man. We're off. The man started the engine and drove away. After they left, I saw nothing. That's right, nothing. There was no reason why they had to park there. So, were they really waiting for Rena?
Gee, I wonder what that's about. Oh, ha. Get it? Because it's a van? Jesus Christ. Lunch takeout list 2.
Furthermore, it's important that we closely monitor her father, since he's also suffered mental shock from the divorce and has been trying hard to take care of the patient. There's a strong possibility that he may develop an induced delusional disorder. As the first step of mental care, one should listen to the patient's story carefully without denying it. That's the most basic of basics. However, when the patient and the listener are related, it's easy for the listener to become deeply influenced by the patient's delusions. Additionally, delusional parasitosis is widely known to make people highly impressionable, and the influence sometimes can spread throughout a whole community. Therefore, even if several people claim to acquire a parasitic infection, it doesn't necessarily prove the existence of a parasite. Some of the phone calls to the healthcare centers for the extermination of pests are nothing but a mass delusion. Since the subject matter of the delusion in this case is extremely rabid, the patients might harm or even kill each other in abnormal ways, believing this to be treatment for the disease. They might also give up hope and commit suicide together in the worst case. This influential delusional disorder, otherwise known as shared psychotic disorder, shows a particularly strong possibility of influencing close companions. Anyone who is going to contact the patients must be made to understand that the patients are under medical treatment and must be warned not to be influenced by the patient's delusions. Individuals who are likely to be easily influenced are the patient's family members, and people who deeply care about the patients, such as boyfriends or girlfriends.
Let's continue. Oh. Okay, yeah. I should apologize, Rena. I don't think I believed you. I'm really sorry about that.
It's okay, Cage-kun. I'm just glad we didn't get caught.
Who are they? Are they pawns of those religious fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama?
I think they don't realize that they're pawns, but I'm sure the masterminds are using them as such. They must be the ones who have been pulling strings behind the scenes ever since the dam conflict.
I heard that people working for the Sonozaki family did something similar during the dam conflict itself.
Yes, everyone knows that. Oishi-san told me that there was a kidnapping incident during the dam conflict. The case hasn't been disclosed to the public, but anyway, someone kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and coerced the minister into promising to put a halt to the dam construction.
The grandson of the minister was also kidnapped? The grandson of the minister was kidnapped? Hey, I've never heard anything about that before.
The minister submitted to their demands, and they made a deal behind the scenes. That's why the incident never went public. Oishi-san only knows about it because he was in charge of the case.
Okay. And?
According to Oishi-san, between kidnapping the minister's grandson and blackmailing him, their tactics were frighteningly advanced. The police know that the Sonozaki family gave orders to the kidnappers, but the case still remains unsolved. At that time, the head of the Sonozaki family, Oryo, had announced a plan to fight against the dam project by force. She even formed a special attack corps using the Yakuza group that's under the Sonozaki family's command. She was very serious about this plan to put the Ministry of Construction down by brute force if she couldn't stop the construction.
Everybody knows that the Sonozaki family had tried to stop the dam project, even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't so surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. The plan sounded just like her.
In the end, the plan ended up as nothing more than that, but the Special Attack Corps did actually undergo training, and a very high-level training at that.
Oishi had uncovered the information right after the dam conflict ended. At the time, Oryo even said that the village was going to be submerged. All members of the Onigafuchi Guardians would choose to stay in their houses and drown. So because Oryo was behind those things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea of an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to the information Oishi seized, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the dam conflict started to heat up, in case their resistance wasn't successful. She had actually obtained weapons and put people through training for the sake of that plan. The Special Attack Corps were flown to America, having received a huge amount of money from Oryo for the operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them highly professional training. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oryo after they came back from America. They were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well. It sounds like it's from a movie or something.
Do you remember how Mi-chan said that she could do anything, from flying helicopters to using wireless radios? It's actually all true. It seems like Mi-chan joined in their training.
So that was all true?
Well, let's put that aside for now. Anyway, you have to at least believe that the death squad actually exists in Inamizawa, and they're capable of kidnapping this grandson of a government minister.
I didn't take a close look at the 4 men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. They were pretending to just be taking a break, but I could tell that they were tense the whole time. So, are they really trying to kill you?
I don't think so. If they really wanted to kill me, I'd be dead already.
So, what do they want? Are they after Takano-san's scrapbooks?
Like you saw yourself, the group is very cautious. Unless we show them an opening, they won't resort to force. If they were the type to use force outright, they could have attacked me in my sleep.
They haven't done that yet, so that must mean that they're taking it cautiously.
They're probably not sure that I have the scrapbooks. They killed Mio-san and tried to dispose of them. But they found out that the most important ones were missing. They thought that she gave them to someone because she knew her life was in danger. Now they think I'm the one who has them. But they're not sure, so they can't resort to violence.
Rena, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared. But they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Oishi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case something happens.
What did he say about them?
He said he'd keep an eye on the Sonozaki family so that he could catch them right away if they were working behind the scenes.
Did you tell him about the scrapbooks?
No, I didn't.
I think you should. He's an officer. I'm sure the police will help you.
Keiichi-kun, I can't even tell you the secret of this village because I'm not sure you would believe me. I don't think Oishi-san would believe me if I told him any of this.
Rena, let's not make it more confusing than it already is. Just tell me, what is it? What's written in the scrapbooks? What's the secret that killed Mio-san?
Simply put, if the things written in the scrapbook are true, the god they worship will be dethroned.
Their god? Dethroned?
Yes. The sanctity of Oyashiro-sama will forever be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. They want to resurrect the people's belief in Oyashiro-sama.
Rena, can you explain it a little more simply than that? I'm confused.
In other words, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god.
He isn't? I had no idea what she read that made her so certain, but whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believed so strongly in Oyashiro-sama.
There are many teachings of Oyashiro-sama, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village, and don't let anybody into the village. One could even say that the rest of his teachings were developed to maintain those two fundamentals. It really wasn't until later on that they added aspects like love your neighbor, or viewing him as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity.
In other words, Oyashiro-sama existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe that Oyashiro-sama does all of that for them, but the truth is that the people abused his name for that purpose, generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Why did Oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of Onigafuchi Swamp and attacked people.
In fact, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp and attack people. People became demons and attacked others when they were possessed by whatever came out of the swamp.
Whatever came out of the swamp? What do you mean by that? Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against it against whatever it was that came out of the swamp. They became demons, attacked the other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out from the swamp. It made the infected people go out of control.
BP, I missed a stream. I thought I missed something vital. If you miss any stream, you will miss something vital. That's true no matter what stream you miss. So I would go back at some point.
The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came out from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into demons as well. That is the truth of the story of demons that came out of the Onigafuchi Swamp. It actually explains the legend. So, was Oyashiro-sama a doctor who came from a foreign country?
Yes, that's not exactly correct, but he was something like that. He came to Onigafuchi and he treated the infectious disease, but he couldn't cure it for good.
All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that had infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One group was made up of people who were already infected, and the other consisted of the people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the uninfected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. But they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasites came out of their water sources, including Onigafuchi Swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. So both of those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally to try to coexist with the parasite. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them. That's the true identity of Oyashiro-sama, the benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demon.
That's right. And Oyashiro-sama made rules in order to ensure the symptoms of the infected people would remain suppressed. The rules were to never leave the village and to never let anybody into the village.
I understand why he didn't want to let anybody new into the village. It was to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone else. But I don't understand why he didn't want people to leave.
It seems like the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. It causes an outbreak of the symptoms in order to prevent the hosts from leaving the village when they try. That reaction is the truth behind the curse of Oyashiro-sama.
The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. That was what it really means to be demoned away. Wait a second. Rena. That means everybody in this village, including you and I, are infected. But nothing happens when we leave Hinamizawa. In fact, many villagers move far away after getting married or something. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after they left Hinamizawa.
You're right. That's because things went as Oyashiro-sama thought they would. Do you understand? He's isolated the village for a long time in order to weaken the power of the parasite.
Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the host, the parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed, which means that the parasites would die with the host, too. I see. You're talking about natural selection.
Good thinking, Keiichi-kun. That's exactly right. As a result of living in this village under such strict rules for a long time, people who were hypersensitive to the parasite went crazy and got killed. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to the host's violent behaviors. As a result, only the parasites that acted nice to people lived on. And that's the explanation behind the mix of human and demon blood that's written in the legend of Oyashiro-sama.
So, that means the parasite is almost harmless now.
Yes. According to Mio-san's scrapbooks, there are actually many people who are infected by harmless parasites. It depends on the local food culture. For example, about 80% of the people who live in a country where meat is a staple food are infected by parasites. But because the parasites coexist with humans without doing any harm to them, nobody notices them, treats them, or tries to get rid of them.
I see.
In olden times, Watanagashi was called Harawata Nagashi, Harawata meaning guts. It's said that the people back then used to eat the guts of infected people who went crazy. It sounds awful, but it was something that they had to do.
Eating the infected people. Are you talking about a vaccine?
You're very smart, Keiichi-kun. Mio-san also interpreted it just like you did. In the legend, it says people cut open and ate the infected ones alive, but it actually wasn't anything gross like that. They did it in a scientific way. They created a vaccine from the infected people who died from the extremely strong parasites, and that helped the uninfected villagers boost their immune system.
Who was Oyashiro-sama? A scientist? He must have been from a very advanced country. Was he German? Is the true identity of Oyashiro-sama a foreign doctor who survived a shipwreck?
I think that would be the most likely answer. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort.
It's kind of interesting to reveal the truth behind old legends. I don't think that Rena's story is too crazy to be true anymore. It still sounds crazy, of course, but I've never heard any theories that explained the legend of this village better than this one. I'm infected by the parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now.
A person is like a universe. We have countless numbers of bacteria in our bodies. Some of those bacteria are essential to us staying alive.
Oh, like bacteria in yogurt, right? I see.
This is also what Mio-san wrote in her scrapbooks. You know termites, right? They eat wood, but they actually can't digest it themselves. They have a unique bacteria that decomposes the wood fibers. As a result, termites can absorb what they eat. That's just one example of a species coexisting with parasites.
I didn't know that. When I heard the word parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively, but now I know some of them aren't so bad to us.
So the weird infectious disease that broke out from the Onigafuchi swamp has been exterminated by now. Well, I shouldn't say exterminated. I should say it's harmless now.
I thought it was a crazy story at first, but now I feel like I just saw the trick behind some kind of crazy magic. It's interesting.
It is to us. But for the cult of Oyashiro-sama, this must be a very annoying theory.
Of course. If Takano-san's theory is correct, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god, and the punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to have just been a symptom of an infectious disease. I see. That's what dethroning God would mean. So, if the pathogen of this infectious disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of Oyashiro-sama would be completely lost. Oh, okay, we're switching back to Rena's.
That's right. That's what they're afraid of. Mio-san was going to identify the pathogen, and for that, she was killed.
So that must mean that she identified it.
Maybe she did. But she's gone, and she didn't say anything about that in her scrapbooks. That's the only reason I can think of, though.
But it's the end of the 20th century. I'm sure the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical institutions by now, right? I've never heard about anyone discovering a weird parasite like that.
I know. It's true that the pathogen hasn't been found yet, but in fact there is evidence that there's some kind of parasite involved.
What? Really?
When a parasite enters a human body, that body's immune system cells, eosinophils? I don't know, and macrophages, try to kill the parasite. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin, E, IgE. The most common way of checking if a person is infected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of this secretion. According to Takano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of IgE in their blood. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. IgE stimulates mast cells, and they secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. These cause an allergic reaction. That allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill the pathogen. But the parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract IgE. As a result, IgE stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, which stop secreting the chemical compounds. As a result, the antigen-antibody reaction, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by a parasite secretes a high level of IgE, but doesn't display allergic reactions. For your information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. You get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of IgE, because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic infection. As a result, a large amount of stimulants like histamine will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite that it's attempting to kill. That's why your body continues to secrete IgE. As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reactions. That's how hay fever works. If you have a parasite in your body, it will deactivate your IgE and suppress the secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure your hay fever just by moving here.
So we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question about its existence.
Yes, that's right.
If that's true, the scrapbooks are a big threat to the believers in Oyashiro-sama. They don't identify the pathogen, but they clearly prove its existence.
Yeah. It poses a big enough danger to them to make them think it's worth killing Mio-san.
This really is a scary secret. I believe it's because you took the time to explain it to me, but if you had skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, it really would have sounded too crazy to believe.
I told you. I couldn't believe it at first either, so I thought you definitely wouldn't.
So what's important right now is that there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to try and cover up the truth, right?
Yes, that's the most important thing. The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship. Reviving the majesty of their god means reviving the power of that god. And the power of their god is the infectious disease. This infectious disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases. So from now on, I'm going to start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better, since it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of current-day Hinamizawa is different from some of the old times. It's been through a process of natural selection, and it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do harm to human bodies. That harm was once interpreted as a curse. A curse is the power of a god, so a harmless endemic disease means that the god is powerless. That means the only way to regain the majesty of that god is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely the harmful, strong version of the parasite.
Wait a second. These fanatics want to deny the fact that their god was actually a parasite, but you're saying that they're researching the parasite. That's contradictory, isn't it?
I know it is. I think that this research is a secret that only the head of the fanatics is aware of. From the outside, they look like they're praising their god, but they actually understand its true identity, and they're trying to revive its supernatural power with their own hands.
I get it now. Oh my god, this is getting crazier and crazier.
It didn't say it in the scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic the manager owns.
The Irie Clinic? Why?
The facility is too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. Mio-san was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist the Sonozaki family recruited.
It can't be.
I think Mio-san was murdered because she knew too much. The reason why the manager hasn't been murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place.
And he's researching the primitive form of the endemic disease. It's hard to believe that the coach we know is capable of doing things like that.
I'm sorry. He might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess. But someone is doing the research somewhere, that much is certain. And after 5 years, the research has finally been completed. The first case was the dismemberment murder by the damn construction workers. Their quarrel had turned into a lynching. They might have had the primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms and the aggression and delirium might have kicked in. The victims of the second year were Satoko's parents. There were no witnesses, so the whole event is veiled in mystery. But there's a theory that someone might have pushed them over the cliff, since the fence of the observation deck that they fell from was quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by the primitive parasite? He or she might have become violent and pushed the other over the cliff. The Shinto priest died from a disease, and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of shock because of a hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. In the fourth year, Satoshi Hojo's aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody who knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he changed at the time. He showed signs of being both aggressive and delirious. In the fifth year, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease, described in the old scroll of the Furude Shrine. The reason behind that is unclear, but the stronger primitive parasite could have given its victims a delusion of maggots. This means that they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Oyashiro-sama. After 5 years of research, Tomitake-san is the victim of the 5th year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I'm the only one who understands his death, because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his throat to get rid of the maggots, and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Ibaraki. I left Hinamizawa, and it made the parasite in me uncomfortable. As a result, it tried to resist, even though it wasn't very strong, and it tried to make me homesick. But with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced, and I completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but my mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms dramatically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of Oyashiro-sama appearing to me in the bathroom was probably the terminal phase of my delirium. I created the supernatural existence, Oyashiro-sama, that I was instilled with when I was little. Then I persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa based on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Onigafuchi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experiences down as the acts of God. Of a god. I remember I once saw on TV that the indigenous people in South America used some kind of natural drug in order to have a mystical experience, and they called it a ritual to communicate with their gods.
So, what the fanatics are trying to do is to spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa.
I think that that's their goal, but I don't think that they'll do that without letting people know about it. Religions need ceremonies, so if they created what they wanted to create, and if they decided to spread it, I think they'd name it the Day of Oyashiro-sama's Revival or something, and they'd perform some kind of ceremony. It would be in celebration of the revival of Oyashiro-sama.
That's a bad thing, isn't it?
I think you can say that because they're trying to spread a very dangerous pathogen.
Hey, isn't that bioterrorism? Jeez, this is very bad. They used it on Tomitake-san, confirming that they succeeded in duplicating the curse of Oyashiro-sama. So that day of revival might be really soon.
I don't know. It could happen in a few days, or it might take a year.
This is way out of your league, Rena. This is a very serious conspiracy. There's nothing we alone can do to stop them. We have to report it to the police.
Do you think that they will believe us?
It's their choice whether they want to believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them.
Keiichi-kun, telling Oishi-san about all of this means telling him I have the scrapbooks.
Do you think that that would be a problem?
Oishi-san came to me after Mio-san was murdered. When they killed Mio-san, they found out that her scrapbooks were missing. They also know that she met me at the library a few days ago.
No way. You mean...
Yes. Oishi-san could be one of them. It's possible that Oishi-san thinks I have the scrapbooks, and he might be trying to find out. In fact, he looked very suspicious, and it seemed to me that he didn't really tell me everything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the Sonozaki family. He could have just been trying to look like he was on my side, and that he's actually their minion.
But the police are our only hope.
Keiichi-kun, you know about the case of the 4th year, don't you? Satoko-chan's aunt was murdered. I believe Satoshi-kun did it, but the police fingered a drug addict as the murderer. What do you think about that?
Some of the fanatics are with the police. And they fabricated the murder? And they fabricated the murderer?
It's the same with the autopsy of the Shinto priest, who they claim died from disease, and the inspection of the accident site where the Hojo couple died. If the police are on their side, it opens the door to many perfect crimes. The 3 families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the dam conflict. You've heard from Michan that they have a considerable power over many organizations in Okinomiya, right?
Yes, I have. It's not only Mion who told me that. Many people did. They told me the Sonozaki family holds influence over the whole city.
That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here.
Rena, please. I want to make one thing clear before we go on. Are the Sonozaki family the masterminds behind all of this? Does that mean that Mion is involved too? Please tell me.
I don't know if Michan or Rika-chan are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure is that the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all the 3 families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling the 3 families, or if the 3 families are the fanatics themselves.
As long as we're not sure about their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful around them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm not saying that I don't trust Michan. She's usually very reliable, and I'd ask her for help with any problem, but not this one. This one is a little different. I don't know if you've seen it before, but although Michan jokes around when she's with us, she can be a very cold person when she's acting as the successor of the Sonozaki family. Plus, even if she wasn't involved, we would put her in danger if we told her about this.
If she was on our side, that'd be really encouraging. I think we should tell her.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't tell her until we confirm that she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great if we could pull her to our side, but what if we couldn't?
So, how are we going to fight against them?
Well, this is a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. That's why I didn't want to get you involved.
Damn it. Takano-san left us a big parting gift, didn't she?
But because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I believe that this is her will.
Two kids challenging the mastermind who controls the village. This is going to be tough. Ordinary methods won't work.
But, Keiichi-kun, I'm glad to have you on my side. We can talk about it and plan things together.
Of course. I've always been on your side, and I'm your friend.
I know. Thank you. You're very reassuring.
Two heads are better than one.
Yeah, I agree. We can come up with a plan for how we're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted some time to read the scrapbooks again, but I'm going to school again tomorrow, and I'm going to act normal. They might sense something is wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Keiichi-kun. Please be careful with Mi-chan. She's sometimes very perceptive.
Okay, I'll act normal, as if I know nothing. But damn, I'm a bit scared. A huge conspiracy is right around the corner, and it might be counting down to 0. It's hard to act normal knowing that.
I don't think it's going to happen very soon. Like I said earlier, if they really are religious fanatics, they need a religious ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any event other than Watanagashi.
So, you're saying that we at least have time until the next Watanagashi festival?
I can't promise, but I just can't think of any event other than that. I think we have a year at least. But I also feel like we don't because of how they killed Mio-san. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event than Watanagashi. It might not be long until that day. On the day of Oyashiro-sama's revival, they're going to spread a dangerous parasite, and that day might be just around the corner.
Reina, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon. It's getting late.
My father stuck his head out from the living room, telling me I need to hang up soon. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think that your parents will be on your side no matter what, but I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I don't think he'd believe me anyway. Even if I told him, he'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I don't tell him. They might get close to my father to get to me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun.
Oh, wait.
I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I have to go now. It's getting late. I'll see you at school.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Be careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore.
Yeah, I'll be careful. I remembered the suspicious men in the white van and felt a chill run through my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accent, but they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Rena and I aren't safe. If Rena is right, they're just as suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. But it's still creepy. Rena had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up until now. She must sense the danger more than I do. However, the fact that they aren't attacking, that they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something, like going to the police. But all they're doing is just watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anybody about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day. But if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she had the scrapbooks. We have to think about how to fight against them, without making it obvious. I told myself that there was no going back, and I put the phone down. The next day, Rena came to school, acting normal like she said she would. She talked with Mion as cheerfully as she always did, and it made me wonder if the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. That's because the story really was too ridiculously crazy to believe. This village has a very weird and rare endemic disease, and there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult. And they've been researching the pathogen of the endemic disease so they can spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night, and I believed everything she said. But thinking about it with a cool mind under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story Rena told me is based on Takano-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though very feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takano-san was murdered lends credit to the story, I'll give you that, but... I looked at Mion. She was fooling around with Rena. It's hard to believe that she's involved with some crazy conspiracy.
Hey, you listening, Kei-chan?
What? Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention.
Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep or your brain stops working.
Mion made fun of me for reacting too slowly. It's almost impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I knew she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Rena told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them. But it might be worth telling her without letting Rena know. Of course, there's at least a 1% chance that the conspiracy is true and that Mion is one of them. If so, I'd be doomed. But if I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends, my answer would be obvious. I know that my friend Mion isn't a part of any conspiracy. She'd never be involved with something like that. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion will be on our side. So whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about it.
What's going on, Kei-chan? Why'd you call me out here? You told me not to tell anybody. You're not gonna extort money from me, are you?
Is that the first thing you think of when you're called out to the gymnasium storeroom?
Oh, I know. You want to give me a love letter, don't ya? People usually use the shoe locker for that, you know?
We don't really do that in the city. A lot of guys hand over their love letters in person.
Really? So wait, you're,
Are you kidding me? That's not why I called you here. I have to talk to you about something very important. I want you to listen without making fun of me.
What? What is it?
Do you know that there are people who want to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama?
Huh? What? What are you talking about?
This, of course, was just my way of getting a feel for the situation. I wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point. But Mion really did look puzzled. People wouldn't normally react like this if someone pointed out their secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if only just a little. Either Mion was a brilliant actress, or she really didn't have to do anything to do with the idea of reviving Oyashiro-sama. I decided to tell her everything. Mion, your family, the Sonozaki family, has a lot of influence in this region, including Hinamizawa, right? Do you think there's a possibility that they're working to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama behind the scenes?
Revive? Why?
Well, you know, people today don't worship Oyashiro-sama like the people in the old days did. So people like fundamentalists might be trying to make people worship Oyashiro-sama in the same way as the people of Onigafuji.
What? Wait a second. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Are you sure? You really have no idea what I'm talking about?
Of course I don't. Sounds like one of those popular novels that sold 5 million copies over in America.
Mion's reaction was very natural. It seemed impossible that she was pretending she didn't know anything about it. But regardless, I continued. Well, there are people like that in this village for real. Do you know anything about them?
You're saying that those people want to make us worship Oyashiro-sama like the people of Onigafuji did. What good will that do?
You know, I think it means a lot to people who really believe.
But think about it, Kei-chan. Who'd be happy to live under those strict ancient rules? In this day and age, it's almost impossible to live without leaving the village.
But for example, think about Rika-chan. All the old people say that she's a reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, right? Those people might be religious fanatics and...
Are you talking about old man Kimiyoshi? Well, I know he's a deeply religious man for sure, but he isn't a fanatic.
Believe me, there really are people who were trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama.
Okay. I'll believe you for now because I want to hear the rest. Go on.
They found out that the curse of Oyashiro-sama was just an endemic disease unique to this village, so now they're researching the pathogen.
Where? First of all, what is an endemic disease? What's a pathogen? They sound gross.
I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about myself anymore. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night and believed everything that she said. But having said it all out loud, I started realizing how impossible the story sounded.
What's going on with you? Did Mio-san tell you all of this?
How did you know?
She's infamous for this kind of thing. She's an occult maniac. She always makes up crazy stories. A few people have gotten badly taken in by her before. She told me some of her stories once, and I remember they were actually very interesting.
Is that true?
I think you've heard about this once or twice before, but this village had a unique culture back in the old days. They did a lot of oppressive things, like having very strict rules, very strict punishments, and a bunch of other cruel traditions. They're well known among occult maniacs. Mio-san is one of them.
So, the story I heard about the weird parasite that controls the village was...
What? Parasite? Is that a new story she came up with?
What do you mean, new story?
I told you, Mio-san is an occult maniac. She studies the weird legends surrounding Onigafuchi and enjoys making up hypotheses, theories, and wild stories about them. She's created a lot of different ones aside from that theory that parasites are controlling the village. One I heard an awful while back was about UFOs. That one was interesting since it connected to a lot of different dots. The story was about a UFO that crashed into Onigafuchi's swamp long ago. The alien that was in the UFO and the villagers had a battle, or something like that. It was like one of those sci-fi horror B-movies. The one Satoko heard was a theory about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. A movement in the Earth's crust opened up a connection between that underwater world and Onigafuchi, and the princess of the underworld fell in love with a young man in the village. It was like a sci-fi version of Romeo and Juliet. The story about the parasites that you heard must be a new one. I hope she makes all of them into a book one day.
Mion began laughing so hard that she had to hold her stomach. As I looked at her laughing like that, I realized I fell for something that ridiculous. At that point, it was obvious. I had been completely taken in. I'm sorry, Mion, but please answer my questions. First, do the fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama exist?
Nope, they don't. I mean, it's totally the opposite. The three families have agreed to open Hinamizawa to outsiders in order to make this village thrive. I'm not supposed to tell anybody about this, but there's a project to build a new highway by the end of the 20th century. The Sonozaki family is promoting its construction without informing the villagers. If all goes well, this whole area will flourish. My grandma's betting that she'll make a fortune when it causes land prices in the region to skyrocket. Well, most of the work will happen in the 21st century, so I'll likely end up taking over the project.
So, you don't think that there are people who hate outsiders?
I told you, there are no such people. What makes you think we want to make this village more inconvenient than it already is? In fact, we've already started selling the land of the village to rich people who want to build country residences here. Your house is the first lot we sold, Kei-chan. Didn't the villagers welcome you? The three families are trying to do everything they can to stop young people from leaving the village.
There was nothing vague about what Mion had said.
Arabaki Gaming with the $2. We should build a freeway over Yosemite. Oreo. Yeah, Oreo in the Judge Doom Roger Rabbit costume. Like, they call it a freeway.
A freeway? What the hell is a freeway? Her story makes a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories. And so, Mion's words woke me from that delusion. So, what about this? I heard that the residents of Hinamizawa have extraordinarily high levels of something in their blood, and it proves that they're infected by parasites.
Really? How did Mio-san figure that out?
Takano-san is a nurse. I'm sure she can do that.
Hold on just a second. Okay. Actually gonna go mess with the AC for just 1 second because it is getting really fucking hot in here, so one moment. Okay.
Alright. Don't worry, I'm fine. And do you think anyone would give her blood samples for no reason? Because I sure don't. Even if she could get blood samples somehow, how and where would she examine them? How many blood samples do you think she examined all by herself? Alright, back in gaming with the $2. Do you hate the cicadas too? God. Oishi? Is that you? Mion was right. I couldn't believe I thought Takano-san could do all of that just because she was a nurse. It struck me hard to believe that she got that many blood samples and did a high-level examination like that without any help. When I thought about it rationally, I shouldn't have believed such a ridiculous story so easily. I heard that people here don't get hay fever, which is proof of their being infected by the parasite. Only people in the cities get hay fever. I heard it has something to do with fuel emissions. Kei-chan, you're talking about Hinamizawa. I mean, even people in Okinomiya don't get hay fever, I think. Well, what about this? I heard that the Sonozaki family has a death squad and that they kidnapped the grandson of a government minister once. Oh, that sounds cool. I wish I had a squad like that. Even I was sounding ridiculous. But I believed all of it last night. I believed it because Rena looked very serious. It's true that the grandson of a minister was found in Takatsudo. We didn't do it. We just acted as if we did. What do you mean? Please explain. Okay. The Onigafuchi Guardians protested violently during the dam conflict. They did something close to terrorism as well. But there were people who used the resistance movement for their own benefits. They used the name of the Onigafuchi Guardians to rob people of money and valuables. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive force at that time. There's a high possibility that some people thought that they could use the name to extort money. The kidnapping case was one of those incidents. The kidnappers thought they could stifle the police investigation by acting like they were the Onigafuchi Guardians. They kidnapped the boy to demand a ransom. To tell you the truth, the members of the Onigafuchi Guardians were all very surprised. They were actually impressed that those guys actually pulled it off. I remember they even said that they'd give them an award. But wait a second. So the Onigafuchi Guardians had nothing to do with the kidnapping? Nope. Not at all. Mion said it firmly. It was a simple and clear answer which left no room for suspicion. And thinking about it, it's nothing surprising. Kidnapping the grandson of a minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive group, but this operation wasn't so easy that it could be carried out by any of the normal residents of Hinamizawa. It was obviously the work of professional criminals, without a doubt. Like I said earlier, the Sonozaki family acted as if we were the masterminds of the kidnapping case. What do you mean by that? This is a secret precept of the Sonozaki family. You can't tell anybody about this, okay? When an incident like this happens, we traditionally act as if we're responsible for it. It's a tradition of bluffing. Bluffing? Really? Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it works out in our favor. It can be a criminal incident, the weather, or even lottery numbers. We act as if it happened because the Sonozaki family wanted it to happen. It starts to sound like we're a very powerful organization, doesn't it? That's the point. This is the secret strategy that only the Sonozaki family heads know about. This strategy is meant to make us look bigger and stronger than we really are. Wow. So what about the plan they had during the dam conflict? The one to attack the Ministry of Construction? Was that true? I heard that they obtained weapons and even trained for it. That was the spin we put on it. There's no way we could actually carry out a crazy plan like that. Our real goal was to make people believe that we were capable of doing things like that, so we could exact pressure on the government. That's all. They obtained weapons and went through training just so they could exact pressure. They had no intention of actually carrying out the plan. The Sonozaki family was just bluffing. That made sense. Of course it did. It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if they did, it wouldn't solve the problem. All I had to do was use some common sense. Even if they did, they would have been crushed within seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that? What about the weapons and the training? As for the weapons, no comment. But we did go through training. We needed to do that in order to make the bluff look real. We gathered some younger men from my father's office and appointed Kasai-san as leader of the group. We went to a desert in Texas, played war games with some instructors, and went sightseeing in San Francisco afterwards. So, I couldn't think of anything else. It was obvious now. I know, Rena and I both were completely fooled by the scrapbooks of Takano-san's delusion. Rena was so serious about it, so I believed her, but if you examined it closely, there were so many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Rena took a delusion like that so seriously. I knew the reason why, though. She knew she was still in a state of shock after being caught with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable. Then she came across this tall tale, and she believed it. Rena is a smart girl. She wouldn't have taken it seriously if she was stable. Plus, another thing happened to wake me up from the delusion. The white van I saw yesterday came to school during the lunch break. The 4 men in work uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The man who talked to me yesterday knocked on the door of the teacher's office. Hello, I'm from Okanogi Gardeners.
Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it?
Sure is. By the way, you look very beautiful today, as always.
Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready.
Yes, well, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you.
The quote in the invoice, I see. The date's left blank on both of them. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll start right away. The man was talking to Chia-sensei with a big smile. What are you doing here, Maibara-kun? Oh, principal. Who's that guy? The principal pointed his finger at the window. When I looked out, I heard the noise of an engine starting. The noise was coming from the engine of a motorized lawnmower. I saw young men in work uniforms taking another lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van. They're gardeners. We haven't taken care of the grass around the fence and the trees for a long time. I wanted to clean them up before summer. Mr. Principal, thank you for giving us a call. The man noticed the principal, took off his hat, and bowed. No need. I trust your work. Please take care of things. I think we can finish it today. We might make a lot of noise, though. Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence where the grass was growing. Rahela, please don't mention that. The engine of the lawnmower was very loud, and the kids who were playing in the schoolyard looked at it curiously.
Hey! It's dangerous out here. Go back to your classroom.
It was Chie-sensei. She handed an envelope with the documents in it to the principal. It said Okanogi Gardeners in green on the envelope.
Principal, please sign the invoice and drop it off at the office next time you go to town hall.
Of course. Will do. Chie-sensei. Did they come here yesterday?
Yes. They came here to look at the grass late in the afternoon. They told me that they got lost on the way back because they tried to take a shortcut.
This village has a lot of small roads branching off everywhere, and they can be very confusing. I remember when I first came here, Chie-sensei started talking about when she got lost and they laughed together. There was never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought that they were suspicious yesterday because of what Rena had told me. At first, I thought it wasn't unusual to see a white van, but then, right after I heard her creepy story, I saw a white van parked on the road and I got scared. The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of Hinamizawa and they got lost trying to take a shortcut on their way back. That's all. I had it totally twisted around? I believed that fake-sounding story. I believed that the Sonozaki family was working behind the scenes, and I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. Worse, I doubted Mion. Damn it! I'm such a fool! She's my friend! We took each other's hands that day, saying that we were a family made of friends, and that friends were friends no matter what. I said that, but then I doubted my friend. I'm so stupid. Anyway, Rena was the problem. She also needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. I had to hurry and wake her up. Rena seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that the Sonozaki family are the masterminds of a large-scale conspiracy.
I remembered the plate numbers of the white van, and I also remembered their faces. Without a doubt, this was one of the vans that have been following me. So far, I've confirmed that 3 or 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it followed me around the longest of all. The people who were in the other cars must be the lookouts, and the ones in this van must be tasked with direct contact, like kidnapping or assassination. The lookouts secure the surroundings, and the ones in this van attack the target. That's a common maneuver involved in both kidnapping and assassination. The scrapbook said that too. If so, I'd better watch out because it was them, not the lookouts, who came to the school premises. I don't think that they'll attack me while I'm in school. They're in the early stage of their covert operation now, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their horrifying scheme. That's why they won't take action in the school, where people are watching. But it looked like they were talking with Chie-sensei, in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces of their conversation, but it sounded very suspicious. I tried to remember the chatter and the movements of their mouths, and I played my memory of it like a videotape in my mind.
Hello.
Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it?
It sure is. You. Today.
Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready.
Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you.
And I see. Is left blank on... Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much.
Alright, well...
I used the information I had to guess what was going on. I played the video again and again in my mind, and also paused it and played it in slow motion again to check many times. Then, something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. There's no doubt that they're acquainted with Chie-sensei, but I've never seen them visit the school before, so it's hard to believe that Chie-sensei is their contact. There's no doubt that they're the death squad under the direct control of the Sonozaki family. They have the local accent, which proves they were chosen from the Sonozaki Corps. The death squad was talking with Chie-sensei. They know each other. What's their relationship? Who is Chie-sensei anyway? During the dam conflict, Hinamizawa School was closed and it was merged with the one in Okinomiya. But the Onigafuji Guardians didn't accept that, and they made a part of the Forestry Service building into a school. But needless to say, the school they made didn't have a teacher, so it was only going to be a token form of resistance. But a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children, and she came to work there. That was Rumiko Chie-sensei. It was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees, and they normally belong to their prefectures. As long as they lie low and don't cause trouble, they don't get fired, and they don't get demoted. They can work up until the official retirement age, and they're guaranteed to get a fixed retirement fund. She was one of those government employees, but she defied the Board of Education and came to work for Hinamizawa. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. I heard that Oryo Sonozaki herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie-sensei for defying their orders. It was easy to get an answer from this by connecting the dots. Chie-sensei was recruited by Oryo Sonozaki as a teacher to work at the school the Onigafuji Guardians had created. In other words, she was already working for Oryo before she came here. As for the principal, he was the principal of the school in Hinamizawa from the beginning. He's a respected person of this region, and he's been closely associated with the three families for a long time. So that means this school has been under the control of the Sonozaki family all along. That's why Chie-sensei is acquainted with the death squad. It makes sense now. Chie-sensei confirmed that I came to school today, made a phone call, and called them here? I don't want to know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait near the gate until class was over. But they came onto the school premises. Why? Stop pretending to be a fool, Rena Ryugu. Do you think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Think hard, and calm down, Rena Ryugu. What will they do to me today in school? In school? How are they going to do anything with my classmates and friends around me? It's easy. Chie-sensei will tell me to come to the teacher's office during the last class of the day. What about my clubmates? That's easy too. Chie-sensei can easily make them go home early using her authority as a teacher. She can make up any reason she wants. Maybe the classroom is going to have carpentry work done today, so they can't stay in school.
It sure is. You. Today.
Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. See? There's no doubt. They clearly said they're ready to do it today. And what else?
Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you.
And I see. Is left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. I see. They gave Chie-sensei an envelope with some documents in it. That blank is an eerie phrase. Was my name supposed to be in that blank? Why is it left blank? What does that mean? I told you, Rena Ryugu. Do you still think that nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Stop that! So what it must mean is that it's an order from higher up. It says to make Rena Ryugu become blank. I took a peek from the shadows, and I saw the principal taking documents out from the envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern. He looked very serious. I wished I could take a peek at the documents, but I was too far away. I kept looking at him just to see if he'd react at all, and then the envelope caught my eye. The envelope said, Okanogi Gardeners, and it had some numbers that looked like a phone number. Fortunately, I have good eyesight. I memorized the number. If they're a death squad, the gardening company must be a camouflage occupation. It probably doesn't even exist. I wanted to find out. I looked for a phone. There's only one phone, and it's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers were chatting in the hallway, looking at the gardeners. It was now or never. I made sure nobody was watching me go into the teacher's office. I rushed in and grabbed the phone on the principal's desk. I went over to the phone number in my head and dialed it up. I'm glad they have a touch tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary dial. If somebody answered, I'd only have to ask, is this Okanogi Gardeners? I'd wait for the answer before hanging up. It should be easy. It connected.
The number you dialed is...
I felt a cold chill run through my body from the bottom of my feet. Wait, don't make a quick judgment. I might have remembered the number wrong. No, I know I remembered it right. It was an easy number to remember. It's impossible to remember it wrong. Then, did I dial it wrong? I put the phone down and started over. This time, I dialed the number more slowly. The teacher might be coming back at any time. In that situation, it was risky to do anything slowly. But I needed to make absolutely sure.
The number you dialed is...
It's the same. There's no doubt. The company Okanogi Gardeners doesn't exist. It's just a camouflage occupation for the Sonozaki family's death squad.
Please make sure the number you dialed is correct. The number you dialed is...
I was too stunned to put down the receiver. The announcement kept running over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and rushed out of the teacher's office. I ran to the bathroom and held my head in an attempt to cool down. Calm down, Rena. Calm down, Rena Ryugu. Stay cool, Rena Ryugu. I wasn't safe here anymore. If I stayed here, I might be erased, even in the open. They'd erase me? Why? They aren't certain that I have the scrapbooks. I told Keiichi-kun.
Where I hid the scrapbooks. Yesterday I told him that I hid them in my hideout in the garbage dump.
Is Keiichi-kun?
In cahoots with the Sonozaki family? I felt as if my head was in a pot that was cooking some dubious stew. There was only soup in my brain.
I cut up clues, information, and facts like I'd cut vegetables and threw them into the pot. Some of them were floating on the surface, and others were on the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked in a boiling soup. No, it can't be. Keiichi-kun is on my side. He's the only one who's on my side. He held out his hand to me at the trash piles. There was no lie in that hand. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong and pure heart. He promised me he'd be on my side. I shouldn't doubt Keiichi-kun. He's the only one I should trust. He's the only one who's on my side right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Keiichi-kun. I was about to doubt you. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I said it out loud on purpose, full of regret that I doubted Keiichi-kun, the only one who's on my side. Now that I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not might not matter to them. Erase anyone who is suspicious. That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of Oyashiro-sama's revival might be just around the corner. And that's why they're trying to get rid of any small fish bones that are stuck in the throat, by any means, before it's too late. We don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Oryo Sonozaki saying that. Picture? No, she did say that. That's why they're here today. What should I do? What should I do? Should I wait until school is over? I was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped from the net, I was in the pond, and they owned the pond. I didn't stand a chance. Then, what should I do now? I couldn't keep escaping from the net. I should get out of the pond. I didn't know how to fight them. I didn't know who's on my side. I was about to give in to despair. For now, I'd have to think about how to survive this, so I'd at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of this pond. When I was about to leave the bathroom, one of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning on the wall. I don't feel good. I think I better go home. Can you tell Chie-sensei I left school early? I shouldn't let Chie-sensei know that I'm leaving school early if I'm trying to run away from them. But if I didn't, they might think I ran away without cause. That might lead them to chase after me without mercy. If that happens, I don't stand a chance. They were planning to capture me after school is over, but I happened to feel sick and left school early. If they took it that way, they wouldn't think that I noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the classroom to get my bag, but I changed my mind and turned around. I didn't need my bag anymore. I realized nobody was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running.
Chie-sensei, take a look at this.
Take a look? Is something wrong with the documents?
Yes. The date on the quote and the invoice are left blank. They're supposed to put today's date here.
Oh, they wanted to leave them blank. They said that they couldn't put the same date on the quote and the invoice. They're told to leave them blank by General Affairs.
Okay, then. And this, the phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Do you know which is the correct one?
Oh, I didn't notice that. Hello, excuse me.
Yes? What's the matter?
The phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Which one's correct?
Oh! It's the one on the invoice. I used the old envelope we used at our former office. I'm sorry about that. I told our part-timer to add a stamp with the new phone number, but I guess she forgot. I apologize for the confusion. Can you just erase the number?
So, I hate to do it, but I'm pretty sure that after this tip is where I have set to leave off, and I'm not going to be able to just, like, keep paring these down even more, so we might just have to stop after that tip. Sorry about it. But if I keep paring them down, then the parts are just going to get shorter anyway, so probably not a good idea. Anyway, lunch takeout list 3.
The danger of a culture-bound syndrome lies in the fact that it can easily trigger delusional misidentification syndrome. That is to say, in the current case, every time the patient sees something trivial, she tries to interpret it as a curse. And it's believed that as a result of the accumulation of these events in an understandable form, a delusional system is created, ultimately leading to paranoia. Furthermore, the patient is also exhibiting slight signs of a personality disorder. Of course, it's at a very mild level, and it's not causing any hindrance whatsoever to the patient's daily life. It's common for even healthy individuals to have primary delusions in their daily lives. But they usually ignore it automatically without recognition, since those delusions are nonsensical. However, there are cases where those delusions accumulate despite being incomprehensible. It largely depends on the particular characteristics of the individual, and it's believed that the patient shows relatively strong characteristics in this area. I believe you're very much aware that primary delusions are categorized into 3 different kinds. Delusional mood is the feeling of impending crisis without basis. Delusional intuition, is the feeling of a sense of duty or goals without basis. Delusional perception is the feeling of a baseless cause against a baseless target. In the patient's case, it's believed that these incomprehensible delusions accumulated, acted out simultaneously with the culture-bound syndrome, which triggered a delusional misidentification syndrome. And it ultimately caused the incomprehensible delusions to become understandable by interpreting them as a curse. The comprehensible delusional system induces understandable secondary delusions, further strengthening the patient's delusional system with the passage of time. The delusional parasitosis mentioned earlier can be considered a secondary delusion. A common factor of all cases of paranoia is that even after an outbreak, they still appear perfectly normal with no change in their personalities. The patients are unaware of their own ailments, and due to their personal interpretations of their delusional system, there are many cases where patients arm themselves logically, making it extremely difficult for a third party to point out that they're having a delusion. Furthermore, although it may depend on the tendency of the delusions, there are also cases where a persecutory delusion turns into a pursuit delusion, or a conspiracy delusion, resulting in the patient creating an imaginary enemy and taking up antisocial behavior. For example, there are cases where believers of a religious cult were deeply influenced by the cult founder's paranoid visions, which shifted the group into a conspiracy delusion, and that made them conduct antisocial behavior in the name of self-defense. Although no such cases have been reported in Japan yet, it could very well happen in the near future. Fortunately, the patient hasn't reached that serious condition as of now. With proper treatment, she should be able to make a full recovery. Please make sure that her father also understands that this is not an unusual case, but something caused by the accumulation of a number of innocent factors that anyone can have. The patient can be treated only by deepening her bond with her father. As long as she has that bond, she can certainly be treated. For the reasons above, if the patient is to return to her home village, I strongly recommend that the patient continue to receive guidance from specialized medical institutions. Please excuse me for writing such a long letter. Thank you for reading this until the very end.
I mean, given context, Evie, since they say, you know, if she is to return to the village, talking about, like, the divorce and stuff like that, I would presume that, yes, it was after the first incident, when she was still living in Ibaraki. I believe those were medical records from Ibaraki. But, yep, that is all for this week. Let's go ahead and put up... Actually, I wonder... Why don't I, just to spice things up, since he did have a little bit of a moment himself this week, why don't I put up our old Keiichi thinker for old time's sake. So anywho, yes, everybody can discuss your thoughts and your current theories and stuff while I pull up art. Ha-cha-cha. Oh. So cute, this art. Cha-cha-cha. Okay, let's see. Got these. Thought, I am so not normal. True! I am also feeling so not normal, perhaps. Let's see. Make sure that I'm not missing anything there. Okay. Got this. Got this. Actually, I don't know though. Maybe, Grifters, your art I might actually save, until the next, of the Devil stream on, not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. Just to have more to show there, since, usually the Tuesday streams don't get as much, so. If that's okay with you. Gotcha. So let's see. Go to the art channel on Discord. Yes. Okay. Okay, I think that should be all of the art. So let me go ahead and look at what you guys have been saying. Give me just 1 second. Okay, think we're good. Alrighty, righty. Scrolling back up. There'll be no more art in a bit. Gotcha. Just gonna start reading theories now. Alrighty. Pining tree. Okay, so machinery creating wavelengths below 20 hertz can cause our brain to give a fear reaction, as most natural sources are dangerous. It is also the wavelength that makes our eyes resonate. When our eyes resonate, it causes distortions in the corners of our vision. This combo caused an increase in ghost sightings with the Industrial Revolution, and as such, air conditioning theory possible. Well, I guess suppose that would have to be very specific, but grifters, honestly, I don't have much for a theory right now. This may be because I am so hungry. You should eat. That's my theory. You should make an edit of this image with Rena next stream. There is a Rena one. I used it last week. The swamp creature does still exist. It's just unrelated to the curse and other things. Just chilling. Yeah, you know, just sitting there. Jadariel. Where I see this going is Keiichi tries to appeal to Rena with logic, and she's convinced that she can't trust him anymore and fears him the way he did to her back in Onikakushi. That was the first... Yeah. I see it ending with Rika dying at the end of the deadline we heard about from the tip before, and either Keiichi finding it and thinking it proves Rena and Takano correct, or Rena finding it and, honestly, I'm drawing a blank now because I'm getting a little bit tired. Possibly one will show up after the other and the rift will come to a head, possibly resulting in more murder. Interesting theory. And not baseless for sure. I think you're... I think you are definitely cooking something. But I will not comment on whether or not you are warm or cold on that one. Bowser. Okay, so you know how the third arc ended with a full-on epilogue about what happened after the entire village just suddenly died? I vaguely remember a throwaway line about strange events happening all over Japan afterwards. This stream, Rena theorized that there is an evil cult that want to revive Oyashiro-sama or something. IDK, it's all very confusing, but like part of it was that they want to spread a parasite outside of the village. I'm wondering if that in that bad ending, the curse of Oyashiro-sama was in some small way spreading to all of Japan, which is absolutely terrifying. I can't remember the details very well of what they said about that in Tatarigoroshi. I believe... What was that exactly? Yeah, I can't remember the details very well right now, but I'll have to look back at that and see. But, interesting thought, though, regardless. But yeah, I don't remember the details very well about that part. It's been a little while. Let's see. BP, my thought, Rena needs love and therapy to help her out. She has gone through several traumatic events and needs to talk about it. Mion needs to know what is happening to her friend. Yeah, I mean, generally true. I don't blame Mion for having sort of this attitude of, like, not wanting to push with Rena at the moment, considering everything that has been going on with her. She just doesn't know, obviously, that Rena is going through extreme paranoia at the moment. So, that might inform her perspective if she knew that, but... They mentioned the family members of people from Hinamizawa becoming mysteriously ill. Interesting. Okay, yeah. I wonder. Donkey Monkey, I think the idea that Tomitake died from the maggot hallucinations has some merit, just not from some parasite. The question then becomes, why did that happen? My current answer is, I don't know. Fair enough. Because, I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Like, obviously, there are a lot of sensationalist and sort of, like, conspiracist elements of what Rena has been talking about, what's in Takano's notes and everything. And so, obviously, there is a fair enough reason to have a lot of suspicions about that and cast doubt on it, especially with the things that Mion has to say. However, the thing that I still think is of interest, definitely within that, is the maggot stuff, because obviously Rena has dealt with it. Obviously, there are people who have dealt with similar things, if the scratching is anything to go by. It's just something that's worth speculating about the origin of, or the reason for why. In particular, it seems to happen to so many of the, like, people in this specific place in particular. Grifters. Okay, theory/idea. Rena should quit with the parasite stuff and start thinking about the implications of the swamp creature. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the swamp creature is creating them, is the thing. What if? You don't know. You don't know if the swamp creature is creating a legion of parasites to release on Hinamizawa. People haven't considered this, but I have. I'm like tapping my head. Like, nobody thinks about this. Nobody thinks about this but me. Jeez. Gona. So far we got two possibilities for Tomitake's death. The syringe Rika had in the previous chapter, and now the maggot disease. What's going on with that, man? I don't know. What is going on with that? And I mean, hey, we've been talking an awful lot about diseases. So, I don't know if any of you have any... Because I haven't seen any of you bring the syringe up in a while, so... I thought that was interesting as well. Feel like there's gonna be another murder. Maybe. Who can say? Yoshibeans. Also in Chapter 3, it is heavily suggested she had some involvement in what happened to Tomitake, as well as put a lot of ideas into Shion's head, too. I'm starting to think she's more malicious than we think. Perhaps. Perhaps so. But who can say? I mean, when I... when I drop a boy off at his house after being reasonably certain that he killed someone, and then look him in the eyes very seriously and say, "You and I never met tonight," I like to think that I only have the best of intentions. Let's see. Also, the way Rena has similar thought processes to Keiichi says a lot about what might have been going through her mind during Onikakushi. Donkey Monkey. I think Rika's death will be interpreted by Rena as the bigger than Watanagashi religious ceremony where the old parasite will be spread, since Rika is the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. Interesting. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think you definitely could interpret it that way. But, yeah, I don't know.
Um, Evie, yeah, the way Takano took advantage of Rena's mental state for her research fucking sucked. Yeah. True. Theory. I hate Oreo Sonozaki. Cringe old woman wants to destroy the fantastic scenery with the fucking highway. That's true. She wants to destroy Toontown, and we're just gonna let her do it. Just like, just thinking about fucking like Shion in the cave with Myung, like talking about her theories in Mayakashi, like, the old bag is going to destroy Toontown. She's got the dip. She's going to do it any day now. That's what she got Satoshi with, was the dip. The fucking what? Anyway. Gloomy. Oreo would look at a beautiful vast field and build a super Walmart and a 5-story parking garage next to it on it. No, it'd be even worse. It'd be like a fucking like a Kmart or something. Like not even like a well, I mean, okay. Worse in a manner of speaking, I guess. Like, Walmart is objectively worse, but I just mean, like, in the sense that, like, oh, it's not even, like, a popular one. It's... all of that for a Kmart of all things. Awful the poor not to go through the nightmarish experience. Yeah. Jadariel, we heard about Oreo's whole make them think we're so big at the end of the last arc, but I think we can be sure they did the kidnapping. We know they're capable of some truly heinous shit. I mean, like, they were aware of it, certainly, but I don't think you can necessarily say that they were solely responsible for it, no. Because we've already put a lot of time into, you know, insisting that that is not the case. I mean, thinking that they were solely responsible for it is part of what was going on with Shion. I mean, like, she thought they were responsible for a lot of things, but that was one of the things she thought that they were responsible for as well. And we know how things went on with Shion. Wait, what if Shrek is the twin sister to the swamp creature, aka Mrek? Alright. Alright. Let's settle down. Grifter, I had a thought. Multiple things can be true. The drug theory could still be true with the maggots. Tomitake spends a lot of time with Takano, and she talks about this stuff a lot. Shot myself in the foot. Takano already talked about it. The idea of maggots was planted in his head already. Both can be true. My mind has expanded. Okay, yeah, I think I see what you are talking about. Interesting. Takano killed Tomitake by injection, which probably made him hallucinate something like the maggots, which is very likely since he definitely heard about them. I'm so smart. That is really interesting. Actually, I'm gonna give you that one. You kind of cooked with that one. I'm not gonna lie. You did a good job. Maybe your hungry brain is capable of greatness too. Let's see. No clue what the syringe even has in it that it's just connected somehow. Well, I don't know. Deathbird, God, I am half tempted to draw a swamp creature handling all the important objects that I've been keeping track of. Yeah, juggling them. That's a fact about the swamp creature. Very good at juggling. Not that it's important, just, it's just a fact. Grifters. Oh, no, wait, I already read that, yeah.
Yoshi Beans. I was also thinking about the syringe in Rika. When Shion stabbed her with it, she began stabbing her own throat. It reminded me of Tomitake, but it was stated no drugs were found in Tomitake's blood. Who can say? I mean, think about it too, though. If I remember correctly, because yeah, I mean, like, I feel like if they had done an autopsy on Rika and they had found anything in her blood back in Watanagashi and Miyakashi, they would have said something about it. But Oishi talked freely about Rika's state and even asked about the syringe to Keiichi in Watanagashi, and he didn't mention anything about drugs in her system, I don't believe. So, yeah. I don't know. Gona, if the disease is real and Iria's clinic is studying it, the syringe could be a sample of the disease. Like the cult stuff may not be real, but the disease could be. Shrugs. Donkey Monkey. Continuing my earlier thought, the totally real fanatics would kill Oyashiro-sama Rika because he is the one who helped make the disease weaker in the first place. Okay. I play Toontown sometimes. Not the Toontown I was talking about. Was not talking about the game. If you have never seen it before, please watch my favorite film of all time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Not every part of it holds up, but most of it does. Most of it is really, really good. And yes, I am not kidding. I do call it my favorite film of all time. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's my funny answer. And it's kind of true. Judge Doom outfit audio, please. Please! Somebody do it, please. I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm just imagining Oreo in the Judge Doom outfit holding Satoshi over like a can of dip. Oh jeez. Like the little red shoe. If you guys remember that scene, if you've seen that movie. In one of the most impressively made movies too. No, for real. It's like, it as old as it is, it still looks fucking incredible. Like there is nothing I think in film that looks like it, or at least does similar techniques as well. Because there are a lot of films that have done like hybrid animation and live action. I still think Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the best looking one. Like I don't think it has been surpassed. And it's a movie from the fucking 80s. It's fucking crazy. Shit, actually, oh my god, what year did that come out? Because I need to know for a funny reason. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Fuck, it was 1988. It would have been after Higurashi. Damn, too bad. I was gonna make a joke about what if the characters had seen it, but they probably couldn't. Oh well. And it probably would have been too late for the Umineko characters to see it too. Fuck. Damn it. Oh well. Can't win them all. Oreo, I think we should build a Costco near the Pantanal in the Chocolate Hills. Oh my fucking god. Jesus. Evie, I think Oreo might have used her perceived weight to make them return the kid, but she might not have had them kidnap him. Yeah, pretty much. Theory, seditious. Oreo has your in her name because she takes credit for your crimes. This means Keiichi did everything since he was you most of the story. Jesus. Fucking the galaxy brain takes her here. Oh god. Hold on. It scrolled me down. I need to write down Takano's theory and figure out which parts have been disproven, like the hate outsiders thing, and which parts are a real possibility. Yeah, it's weird. Like the stuff with Takano's stuff is like I think because of some of the crazy bullshit she says, especially some of the like sort of like you know. The more problematic elements, let's put it that way. It's really easy to dismiss everything that she says out of hand, but I also would say not to do that necessarily. Like, obviously, maintain a healthy skepticism of everything that Takano says, but like, it is still like the information is still being given to us for a reason. Like, I wouldn't say that they would subject you to that much time listening to what she has to say if they didn't want you to clue into at least some of it or like take something away from it. You know what I mean? Story writing. But, you know. The syringe has invisible hands and just grabs their hands and makes them do it. Yeah. You know. No, she didn't mention any drugs in Rika's body. Okay, good. I thought I was remembering that correctly, but yes. Grifter, Oreo is going to have to fight the swamp creature at some point. I don't know if it will happen during Higurashi, but one day if she wants to get that real estate, she'll have to confront the swamp creature. I know what you mean by that. Like, I know you just mean like within the universe, it will have to happen at some point. But it makes it sound like Oreo Sonozaki just exists in real life and is going to have to fight the swamp creature, and we will be alive to see it. It's like it's a pay-per-view match. Oh, Jesus. Arabaki Gaming with the $5. Takano is like cooking pasta with Gatorade. It sure isn't supposed to look like that, but it still is objectively pasta. By all means, judge it on looks. Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to put it. Anjay could have seen it, though. Oh, talking about Roger Rabbit. Yeah, I guess she could. Alright, and enough Umineko, though. But it is funny. Because that is indeed possible. It would be her favorite movie, too. Little known fact, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a loose adaptation of the events of Higurashi. Well, I don't know if I would say that. It is a loose adaptation of something, though. This is actually true. Many people don't know that Who Framed Roger Rabbit is based on a book. I own that book. It is called Who Censored Roger Rabbit. It's a book. I've read it many times. It's fucking weird. That's the only way I would describe it. It's fucking weird. There are things about it that I like, but it's really fucking weird. It's also extremely not kid-friendly. I would definitely not recommend it to children at all. I mean, the movie itself has some, like, not-so-kid-friendly stuff in it either, but, like, it's at least vaguely a family movie. The book is not that at all. Not even a little bit. I've read a summary of it. On one hand, I think that's better than nothing, but at the same time, you truly don't understand the insanity unless you've read the whole thing. Which I did multiple times as a child. I know, I'm giving everybody some very interesting glimpses into what kind of child I was between that and reading all of Higurashi when I was a child as well. But, you know. What else was I into when I was a child? I saw Watership Down when I was a child. I saw Plague Dogs when I was a child. A lot of other things. Well, anyway. Gona. I wonder if Takano actually believed her theory, or if she intentionally gave the scrapbook to Rena to feed her paranoia. If Takano believed it, would explain why she faked her death. Who knows? I wasn't going to mention Felidae. I mean, I did get into Felidae as a child too, yes. I wasn't going to mention it, though. It's just, I don't want to give too much attention to a book written by a weird racist. Not that we knew that at the time. Sad, but is what it is. Let's see. Oh, Homestuck. Also Homestuck. I got into Homestuck as a child. That's one of the lesser bad ones, I suppose, because a lot of people did, but still probably something I shouldn't have been reading at the age I was reading it at. Child mercy on their way to consume any media not appropriate for kids their age. Yeah, pretty much. Although, this is not me like chiding you or anything, by the way. But just using this as a little reminder moment, because I don't know. It's been a while, I think, since I've actually said anything about it. So, and maybe I haven't said anything about it on the stream. I don't know. I used to use both she and they. It's just she now, though. Please no theying me. Please, thank you. I appreciate it. No worries. I just wanted to remind people. Is it bad that when you first mentioned you got into Higu as a child, despite me only having cursory knowledge at the time, my immediate thought was that makes too much sense? I don't really know if I like the implication of that. I don't really know if I like the implication of that. Okay. I think we're probably at the point where we're starting to taper off from theory time, so probably a good time to move on over to art in just a second. Let me actually refresh, though, to see if there is stuff that I have to pull back up. Okay, I don't think there's anything new here. Okay. Okay. I will open that on the side. Hold on, actually. Let me mute that real quick and open this. Then put that here. If I can scroll back in the time code, please. Please? Hello? Okay. Put that there. Okay. Okay, I put that there. Okay, I think that should be everything. I thought somebody mentioned something about Blue Sky too, but I don't see anything else on Blue Sky. Oh my god, why? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I won't see anything else on Blue Sky at the moment. But if I miss anything, then just feel free to let me know. But anywho, let me pull this up now. Where the fuck? Hold up. Okay, there we go. Anywho, so first, we are starting off with this adorable piece from Marigal on Blue Sky. Marigal at bluesky.social. Started with a joke about Satoshi's hamster qualities during NezumiVA stream, and then I fell into a fugue state. Hamster time. And it's this and it's this. It's so fucking adorable. I love this piece so much. When I manifested Hamtaro Higurashi, I did not anticipate so many people would actually follow suit with it, but this is fantastic. It genuinely heals my heart, heals all my wounds. My status ailments are gone. I believe in love and light again. This is so fucking cute. I love this so much. Also, just like the colors are so like light and happy. I know that's a very juvenile way to describe it, but you know what I mean. It's just very nice. Also, just like the style in general, like you did a really good job replicating the style of Hamtaro. Like it just looks really, really on point to the actual show, which is very cute. Makes me happy. Have you guys ever seen the Hamtaro rave, like the Hamtaro theme song rave video? If you have not seen that video before, after this stream is over, go search Hamtaro theme song rave. It's fucking awesome. Please go look it up. Yeah, thank you, Marigal. This fucking rules. Alright. Next up, we have this from Chiyoko at Chiyoko Arts on Blue Sky. For tonight's stream, I drew poor Rena feeling endangered by so many people in the village. That scrapbook really twisted her already unstable mental state for the worse. Yeah, sure did. This is really fucking good though. I really like the way this is like done with the sort of like the mischievous faces. The posing on Rena in particular is also really good with the hand on the face. The hand on the face is like one of my favorite like poses to draw. Honestly, it's very difficult to draw, but it's one of my favorite poses to draw for stuff like that. It's always just like very evocative of like that kind of emotion, that very like sort of, you know, trapped in your own head sort of thing. Yeah, the fisheye perspective too. It's very, yeah. You did a really good job with this. It very succinctly sells the emotions of the character for sure. Yeah, you keep getting better and better with these dramatic pieces, and I think that this may be one of the best ones you've done so far, honestly. Very, very cool. Moving on over to Tumblr, we have, hold on just a second, these from the Death Dash Bird. Credit to Danny for the bio. It is the Satoshi palette swap. It's Keiichi with Gauntlet. Keiichi Maebara, bio written 1983. Crowd manipulation. Like hacking drones, Keiichi is able to master getting other people to do what he wants. Other Gauntlet Knights gain a resistance to this through training. But the average citizen is helpless before his words. Pressure cooker SS. Like coal becoming a diamond, Keiichi works best under pressure. The greater the pressure and the less advantageous the situation, the more certain it becomes that a miracle will occur. Unpolished diamond in the rough, A. As a newer Gauntlet Knight, Keiichi is rough around the edges. He lacks muscle memory and a true understanding of the other members of his Ket. However, considering how well they work together, despite that, this will likely go away with time. By the way, for those of you who don't know, this is a Kukonia thing.
So just so you know. But oh, minus A. I see. And we also have Satoshi with the bear. Very good. And the baseball bat. Very good. Geez. I just realized that Keiichi's also is the shovel twisted around. That's fun. But yeah, Satoshi Hojo, burdened mind minus A. Despite having remarkably high PP, parallel processing levels, only a concerningly small amount of it can be used at will. The majority of Satoshi's mind is forced to deal with unrelated data, regardless of his current whereabouts or actions. The best scientists of the HAU, Hinamizawa Armed Unity, have been unable to find a solution for this, but have expressed worries about the damage it is doing to Satoshi's brain and overall health. All-around inexperience, minus SS. Coming from an earlier generation of Gauntlet Knights, Satoshi and the other members of his cat have no predecessors to look towards for guidance. With no previous mistakes to learn from, it is expected that the next generation shall be learning from this one. These are very fun descriptions, and very fun design choices as well. Good job to both of you. Do I have Caconia merch? No. There's not really that much Caconia merch at current, I don't think. I don't think there exists very much Caconia merch at this point. I don't think there's none, but I don't think there is that much. And no, I don't own any of it. Moving on to this from Dingo's Trash. Did not have a lot of energy to draw this week, but I did manage to draw a quick woman and Rena in anticipation for today's stream, which, yeah, very, very relevant to today's events, definitely. Definitely captures the vibe pretty well. Also did a quick Satoshi a la Chikawa, which I hope is close enough to a hamster to please everyone. I think Marcy asked for that last stream. This is also really, really adorable. Oh god. The Chikawa. This is really good. Thank you. We love a bit of variety. And you did a fantastic job with this. Both of them, obviously. I like the posing on this one especially is really fun. I really like it. Always love a good shush motion. Yeah, this is adorable. I just stare at him and watch my serotonin levels rise. Jeez. Now somebody's gonna have to do Satoshi as the teddy bear at some point too. I think that's the logical endpoint of all of this Satoshi mascotification, which has been happening. Very, very good. Thank you. Next, we have this from Volt X Cula. That's VULPXCULA on Tumblr. I'm sorry if I messed up the pronunciation of that. Rena whip that I've been working on. I want it to feel like she's staring right into your soul. Eyes emoji. She's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters, and I've really enjoyed this answer arc so far. I think that this looks really good. Honestly, I if I hadn't have read the caption saying that it was a whip, I wouldn't have noticed that it was a whip. I would have thought that it was good enough to be a finished piece. But yeah, very, very good. And I believe that you are capturing the intended vibe. Also, yeah, the red undertone. It's a very good like color contrast. It works very well. With the overall colors of the outfit, especially like it contrasts well against the white of most of the outfit, and the blues as well. Very good work. Moving on over to Discord, we have this from Gloomy Squids. I'm going to recapture my happiness. At this moment, I'm going to win back my happiness. Oh, Rena, how you deserved so much better. Won't be able to watch much of stream today, but man, does this little redhead float around in my brain like the DVD logo. Very good way of putting it. Spent most of the day drawing this, and I think it turned out really well. I agree. I think it's always fun to do like sort of a page full of expressions and doodles, and you did a really good job with this in particular. I really like the face shadowing, and the poses in general are also really fun and cute. Well, cute. These two are, the main two are cute. These are suffering, but you know what I mean. This is really good. Honestly, I always admire when people are able to do like good posing and like good expression work on like traditional drawings, because I have just become so reliant on the ability with digital art to just undo a million bajillion times if I fuck something up. So anybody who draws traditional has my praise, just for the very fact that they even did it at all. So very, very cool. Next, we have this from Dav at Space Caribou. I know others have done this, but I also wanted to take a stab at it. Hamtaro Satoshi. Very cute. I love his puffy cheeks with the little seed. It's so cute. This in particular is actually like really, really good. I know that I've been saying like, Dav, that your art has been getting better and better over time, but like this in particular is just really, really good. You matched the style really, really excellently. And the coloring is also really good too. Yeah. Very cool. Next, we have this from Gloomy as well. Yes, let me talk to a mentally ill teenager about my deeply disturbing interests in research. Surely nothing will go wrong. Boy, am I glad to have someone to talk to about my interests. Clueless! Oh my god. Literally. Just like, I just wanted somebody to info dump to. Don't mind me. I'm not doing anything wrong. I just... I don't want to hurt nobody. Really good. Oh, jeez. Next up, we have this from Evie Curry. Garbage from like 2 or 3 streams ago. I just wanted to work more on it. Yeah, I saw you posting the whip for this earlier as well. And I suppose it's still, but like this is, god, this is really fucking good though. Like the lighting, the sort of like puffy-ness of the eyes from where she's presumably been crying, I suppose. The sort of like environmental detail with the stuff inside the car is just also like the clothing folding too. It's fucking, it's really good. You always do a really good job, Evie, but this is fucking fantastic. Really, really like this a lot. It's a very like emotionally striking piece. And also this being reposted from last week because why not have them all in one place? Oh, jeez. Very, very cute. Then the little Satoko as well. Oh, man. Okay, so we have this posted by Seditious. Accidentally made it into a YouTube short because I was running out of time, but here's my contribution. Rena as Undying the Undying because I was putting too much effort into Satoko's theme that will eventually be ready, maybe. So, okay, let's listen to it. Oh, wait, shit. I forgot to unmute my desktop audio. Fuck. Hold on, let me refresh this. Okay. bobbing my head over here. Fuck. Love that. Very, very cool. That was really well done. Like, obviously the Rika one was as well, but like I think I like that one even slightly more, just because personally I'm a bit more of a Battle Against a True Hero stan, even though I do love Megalovania. But like, yeah, man, that was really well done. I really like how you did that, especially when it got to the quiet part, which has always been one of my favorite parts of the original track. I think you mimicked the feeling of that really, really well. I would love to hear this with all of the same like sound fonting from the original, if that were ever possible at some point, because you gotta know I love those Zun trumpets, those fucking Toho trumpets. But yeah, fantastic job, Seditious. Really, really well done. And last but not least, we have this from Rahela. Hastily done troubled Higurashi for this week. Sumi Horoboshi is a lot longer than I remember. No thanks to Miss Woman here. Wish she could keep her conspiracy theories to herself. Things just got super weird. It's my time to shine. Which, yeah, is pretty much her motto, I suppose, at this point. If I had FL Studio, maybe, but it's $100. There are things you could do. I'm not going to say what those things are. I could mean that you could just eat a really big sandwich. Maybe that's all I mean by that. But you know. Anyway, give a scroll back through everything. And that's all of the art from this week. Very, very wonderful. Trying to think if there's anything else that I have to go over before I go. Well, Tuesday we start streaming Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. So if you've been looking forward to me playing that game for the first time, I will start doing that on Tuesday. That'll be fun. And of course, next Friday we will continue this. There will be 2 more streams of Sumi Horoboshi, so next Friday and the Friday after. And once again, I must tell you to prepare yourself for that last one, because that last one is probably going to be pretty long. Just giving you that heads up repeatedly ahead of time so you know when it is time to lock in. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How long? It might be over 5. That's my guesstimate. It might be over 5 hours. We'll see, though. But anywho, I've had a great time. Again, sorry that this was a bit of a shorter stream. But you know, it's kind of difficult to pace out these arcs, which are a little bit less evenly paced than the previous ones, at least in terms of length. I mean, like, pacing of Sumi Hiroboshi is fine. I just mean, it's longer, so it's a little bit more difficult to figure out even points to split it up without making some of them shorter and some of them longer. It is what it is. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will hopefully see you all on Tuesday, and if I don't see you on Tuesday, then hopefully I'll see you on next Friday. So, see y'all later. Bye!